All right. According to the images on my screen, it would appear that we are live. What's going on, everybody? Nevin, yes, this thing is now on. I'm glad to have you here. First of all, can you hear me? I just want to make sure, because there is a delay in the comments and things like that. I just want to make sure all this is well. I am Johnny Andrews. I'm working with Matthew on this one. I am not the star of the show. I am just going to be taking care of this technical stuff and then probably showing up a little bit later to handle the Q&A and also addressing what you need here in the chat. So if you wouldn't mind, throw that thing into the chat. Can you hear me? And can you see all this fun stuff? Make sure this is actually working, which is usually a good thing. And then I will hand this thing off. What's going on, Constance? And you are on time. This is a beautiful thing. So if you wouldn't mind, just throw that in there. Let me see. Let's see. Derek, you say something also just to make sure. Let's see.
Yeah, welcome everyone. See if you can hear me as well. So please put that in the chat box. There is a slight delay here.
Yeah, we'll try to keep this. No, that's awesome. All right. And we got a bunch of no's. All right. Can you guys hear? We're going to have to do a little troubleshooting then. That's exciting. All right. We're going to have one of those evenings. All right. Everybody bear with us. Let's see. The screen, but do not hear anything. All right.
We'll test it again. So, I mean, I'm seeing we don't have any sound. If you can happen to hear me, you can say something. You can say you could hear Derek. It looks like most of you can see but not hear. Okay.
Absolutely. So what this might necessitate, gentlemen, is to open this up, to take that invite link that you were sent and open it up in a new browser. Probably if you're in what is it called? Firefox, go to Chrome. And if you're in Chrome, jump to Firefox. That has typically solved the problem. And as I'm doing this test, because the thing is on, normally people will hear. So we just need to troubleshoot this really quickly. And then we can go and get this stuff kicking for you, peeps.
So it looks like a lot of people are saying that they can hear.
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm going to exit out of this one. Actually, you want to. Perfect. All right, Matthew's coming on in just a second.
I'll go ahead. I don't know if people who they can hear and see. I'm going to type this in. Can you hear me as well?
There we go. Perfect. Okay, that solved the problem, it looks like.
Cool.
So without further ado, because I don't like to take up too much time on this, hey, Matthew, you say your thing. Perfect. All right, it looks like everybody is super happy.
Do we need to test Matthew here real quick? I'm sure people can hear Matthew.
What's great is
so I'm going to go
ahead. You showed up.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and speak. So if you can hear me talking, go ahead and say I can hear Matthew, and that way we'll confirm that all three of us are good to go.
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah,
cool.
Thanks.
Awesome. All right. In that case, I am going to mute myself here, and I'll handle your questions from the back and then probably pop in at the end. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Derek, who will then give you Matthew.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny, and welcome, everyone. Thank you for your patience as we're getting this all set up for you here. This is going to be exciting because I've talked to many of you who you love writing. I mean, this is the common thing that I hear. It's like, I love writing. You got into authorship. You started following a lot of the work that I've done and some others have done because, you want to get your books out there. You want to get your writing into the world. Some of you are fiction, some of you are nonfiction, children's book authors, all across the gamut. And yet it's a challenge sometimes financially to generate income from book sales. There's so many pieces. And I mean, for me, it took me several years of studying marketing, spending thousands of dollars, even when I was broke, what little money I had to go to seminars and to read books. And it's like, there's all these pieces to put together. And what actually helped me, and I got clarity on this in the last year or two, and I've started sharing it with, to many of you, is this idea of you're running a business And like any other business, as an author, it needs some capital, right? To hire editors, to hire cover designers, to especially do promotions and things like that. And then if all your income is reliant on book sales, that's a lot of upfront investment to get that going. And then there's the kind of sometimes the wonder of like, am I actually going to generate income from this, and then generate enough income to get more book sales? So what makes a lot of sense, and this is what I did, was to have some other way of generating income. And I know many of you have jobs. Some of you, I know I've talked to many that are on Social Security or retired. Well, what if you could generate income from doing what you love, which is writing? And what if that could be a full-time source of income that you not only get to do what you love without even having to worry about whether a book's going to sell, but that's going to bring an income that then you can use that to support your own business then as an author. And not just a little bit of an income. You're going to hear from Matthew here just how his amazing story of how he built a thriving business through his writing. And with that, I mean, I'll let Matthew fill in a little bit of his story. I won't go into too much detail on that. But if you're in the Bestseller Secrets Facebook group, you might have seen Matthew in there contributing, sharing, helping people out, and talking about what he does as a ghostwriter, which I saw many of you were interested in. And he's been so kind to come and share more with you about how you can potentially do this. You can potentially earn a great income as a writer through ghostwriting. For some of you, maybe that's just what you want to do. And for others, you want to do that and still use that to support what you do as an author. So with that, welcome, Matthew. Thank you so much for coming here and sharing your knowledge with us.
Awesome. Thank you. That was a great introduction. Thank you very much for that, Derek, and thank you for having us. But yeah, so my name is Matthew Thrush, and so today we are going to be talking about how you can become a six-figure ghostwriter in 6 months or less without having to chase clients. So Derek briefly touched on some basically pros of ghostwriting. So one avenue is so that you can earn money up front to be able to pay for your own books. So we're going to touch on some of those things as well too throughout this webinar. It's going to be really action-packed, full of knowledge. So basically that if you take whatever I teach you during this, you can actually use it right now to start getting jobs, and we'll show you how. So what are you going to learn today? We're going to teach you how you can develop your craft and your skill, meaning your writing, while someone else pays you to do it. How you can gain freedom and time to do what you want in life. So for me, freedom and time is freedom of choice. So now you have the choice and the ability to do what you want, when you want, how you want, and whatever you want. And that's a really big thing for a lot of us. And that was a big thing for me. And we're also going to talk about how you can charge what you're worth and find clients who are happy to pay it. So real briefly, what I mean by what you're worth is not your intrinsic value, because everybody has intrinsic value of who you are as a person. What I mean by that is charging what you want to earn and people paying you and above it and being happy that they paid you that. And I'll show you how that works and how you can do it too. So real quickly though, there is a special opportunity that I will be sharing at the end of this. Now I am going to note, it's not like there are some webinars where you have to buy something. That's not what's happening during this. It's just an opportunity that I'm sharing with you for anyone that's interested in learning more about it. So stay tuned. If you stay to the end, I'll share more about that later. So why would someone consider ghostwriting? And here are some really high-level pros. You earn more up front. You can develop your craft and experiment on new genres with no risk. So if you generally write science fiction, but you want to test out romance, well, instead of writing the entire book, trying to publish it on your own, things of that nature, and then maybe, hoping that it sells, now you can have someone actually pay you to try out something else. You can build and grow your network with other industry professionals. So just like Derek and I have met on his Facebook group on there, and I've been helping some of you guys out there, it's basically like that. Is as you're doing this, as you're helping other people, you just meet people in general and you kind of build off of each other. It's almost like an internal masterminding kind of deal, and it's huge. It helps you go places in life that you didn't even know were possible. And like I said, right, and following into that is you can learn more about other fields and expertise. So as you meet these people, or as you write books for publishers or business corporations, things of that nature, you learn about their fields of expertise, which then makes you more profitable and more desirable to get jobs because now you know more. And then lastly, you can earn money to cover costs for your own projects. So if you want to make a career with self-publishing, Ghostwriting could potentially give you that upfront money to be able to pay for stuff like marketing, to be able to get those sales to increase your passive income per month. So real briefly though, some of you might know who I am, but a large majority of you may not. So real high level, I'm going to share a little bit about myself. So I am Matthew Thrush. So I'm the co-founder of Six Figure Ghostwriter, which is what we're talking about today. I'm a #1 best-selling author of over 50 books. That's actually higher now. I'm a top-ranked ghostwriter as well as writing coach on Upwork and some other platforms. I'm an expert. I was an expert speaker for a digital conference that just took place. That was called Make Money While You Sleep. I was a guest expert speaker on author platform Rocket. I also wrote a guest blog for Nick Stevenson's Your First 10K Reader. Some of you may be familiar with his stuff, and he has really good product to share with you as well. So I wrote a guest blog on there about ghostwriting and my story. I also was a guest expert on Kindlepreneur, and you'll be actually seeing that interview on his podcast in the next few months or so. And because of all these things, I've been able to reach thousands of authors, and I don't even say that lightly. It's thousands, and even probably more than I'm even aware of. That's just who I'm aware of that I was able to help out. And that's just how it's supposed to be, is as you learn, you help others, others help you, and everyone kind of grows together. So, but it wasn't always that way. I wasn't always a six-figure writer right now like I am, with freedom of choice and time and doing what I want. And if you can see behind me, I'm just hanging out in one of my rooms in my house that hey, this could be my office for today. You know, otherwise I'll go somewhere else. I can sit outside and go to a park. And so, but it wasn't always that way. In January 2015, so not very long ago, I had about $85,000 of debt. I was unemployed. I actually was trying to find a job for over 8 months. I only had $100 in my checking account. The U.S. government disqualified me from unemployment because they said that my full-time employment gap, it was too large from whenever I was working in the military to whenever I requested the unemployment assistance. And then I was told, so during those 8 months of time while I was trying to find work, I applied and interviewed for over 100 jobs. And when I say interview, I actually mean I went in person to these interviews during that 8 months. And the #1 thing they basically told me was, you're overqualified for this job. Why do you want this job? You have too much experience. You should be managing or supervising us, you know. And if an employer has that mentality, even if it's not the truth, their mindset is, you're only going to be here temporarily and you're using us as a stepping stone. So naturally, they're not going to hire you, which is what happened to me. I didn't get hired. And then to compound on that kind of stuff, and this kind of grew from those rejections, is I was suffering from chronic depression, anxiety, and pain. And a lot of that stemmed from the military, and it kind of just got worse as I was getting more stressed out, trying to find work, being in super debt, not knowing how I'm going to pay my bills, things of that nature. It just got worse and worse. And then at one point, I just hit rock bottom. So this was roughly March of 2015, where I just like, I've had enough. What is going on? I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I don't know about you, but have you ever felt that way, where you're just, nothing seems to be working? There's a plethora of problems with no solutions, or if there are solutions, you can't use them. They're not going to help you out at all, you know. But for me, I was tired of thinking that way. I was tired of making excuses and blaming everyone and everything else for my problems. And the #1 thing too was, for me, was I was tired of just what ifs haunting me. So for example, what if I had done this, or what if I had done this differently in this interview, or what if I hadn't gone into the military or something, and just, or what if I had written more at this time? You know, just, you could always do that with life, is you can always say, what if this, what if that, what if that. And I was tired of doing that way. It was just haunting me, just burning me out. And then that basically led to me to the frame of mind of, I need to kill this scarcity and victim mindset that was basically controlling my life at that time. And I couldn't live that way anymore. I didn't want to live that way anymore. And I'm sure, like I was asking you, some of you probably have felt that same way. You just wanted to give up. You thought, what's the point of even trying? Every time I try, it just blows up in my face and nothing happens, or things are worse. Or once you start getting ahead, all of a sudden something breaks and you're like, oh my gosh, now I can't. Now I'm even worse trouble than I was before, in debt. And in my case, you know, I had $85,000 of debt and no job. So if something broke, I was not in a good place. And I'm pretty sure many of you were like that too. So I'm going to touch real briefly on what I consider my success formula. #1 thing that basically changed my life radically before I even became a six-figure ghostwriter was I made a commitment in March 2015 that I was going to make my dream a reality. So my dream at the time was I wanted to write novels full-time. And now as that dream kind of coalesced and developed, I narrowed it down to I want to write full-time as a ghostwriter, writing books for other people. But that was the starting point. I want to do this. And I'm going to start treating this like it's a full-time job. So if many of you have full-time jobs, I'm sure, you know, and I'll use a stereotypical of 9-to-5 job terminology. Maybe you work different hours, but it's basically a full-time job, you know. So you get up, you commute to work, you do your time, you commute back. Maybe you have a few hours at night or morning, depending on what your shift is, to hang out do stuff with yourself, hang out with your family, hang out with your kids, and then go to sleep and then start it all over again, you know. But that's what you do for a full-time job. You treat it, you give it a lot of time, you invest into it. And so I wasn't doing that with my writing. It was more of a hobby. And what I mean by hobby is if it's not producing enough income for you to live off of, it's just a hobby, no matter how good you are and things of that nature. So that's where I was. I was like, all right, well, I'm tired of my writing being a hobby. I'm going to make this a full-time thing to where I treat it like a full-time job and I'm earning income like a full-time job. So after I had that mindset, which is the number one thing that got me in the right direction, was I had to shift my mindset. It was, all right, well, I got to test it. I got to test it, my idea, and myself. Was I crazy for thinking this way? Could I really actually pull this off? Could I write as much as I needed to be able to do this and make a full-time living? Would I be burnt out from it? Would anybody even like my stuff? You know, if I wrote 1 million words but no one read it, they could be the greatest things in the world, but if no one's reading it, I'm not making a living off my writing. So that was basically the test. So testing it, all right, do I have what it takes? Will I actually love it, or will I get burnt out? And will anyone like my stuff? And then the next step was, all right, well, here's my goal. Changed my mindset. I got to test it. How am I going to test it? And so how I test it was, if you see my shirt, you're wearing a Wattpad shirt because it's a huge platform for what kickstarted my career to begin with all this is. So Wattpad is basically a free e-reader site that has over 300 million stories published and over 50 million active users each month. So basically, writers can post their stories on there, and readers can read them for free. It's an interactive community to where you can like a story, you can add it to a reading list, you can follow a writer, you can leave comments, things of that nature. So there's a lot of interaction on there, and it's really good. So a friend of mine told me about it. So I was like, all right, well, I'll create a profile, and that's the platform I'll use to test my goal. Can I do this? You know, and so I committed to a full year for this test. I wanted to see, could I actually do it? Would people like my stuff? So I committed to a full year to test this out. And then part of that was, all right, well, I'm going to write a minimum of 1,500 words a day, no excuses. If I'm going to treat this like a full-time job and actually give this a valid effort, I'm going to commit to this. So 1,500 words, that could be a lot for some of you, or maybe it's just a little bit. But I knew I could do it because I had some free time and I write fast. So I said, okay, minimum 1,500 words a day. That was the commitment. And then another commitment was post at least 1 chapter per day on Wattpad. And that was to basically build my readership, gain some feedback, grow my platform, and see if, you know, anyone liked my stuff. And then that was holding me accountable because these people, because I told them, hey, I'm going to post a chapter every single day. So it was kind of like a built-in accountability of, hey, I'm going to do this. I can't make excuses for myself. If I'm sick or tired one day, that's fine, but still right, you know. So I did that. You might be wondering, well, what were the results? Well, naturally, you might have inferred that if I'm talking to you right now about earning 6 figures as a ghostwriter, then it probably went pretty well. But let me show you some of the results from that test. So my daily output in terms of how many words I wrote went up from 1,500 to 5,000 within a week or two, just like that, without burning out. So obviously my output was increasing. I was getting more feedback from readers, which then improved my writing because these readers would leave comments or find typos or spelling errors, things of that nature, or inconsistency issues if there were in the chapter of what this doesn't make sense. And so my writing was developing. It was getting better because of the feedback. And in which case, all of that built my motivation and inspired me to write more, which is why my word count, my output per day increased so radically within a short period of time because I was fueled to do more. And so when positive things like that are happening based on your efforts, you gain momentum based on these small mini wins. So those are basic results. What were the big results? I gained 54,000 followers on Wattpad within that year time frame. 54,000. That's pretty good. My story, the one that I was using as my experiment on there, it was used by Wattpad as well as Season 8 of The Walking Dead and Pride and Prejudice, Zombies, and the movie The Boy to promote those TV shows and movies. So my story was used to promote those. It was also selected as a featured story on Wattpad. So I was contacted within 3 months to say, hey, we want to feature your story. It's doing really well. Readers love it. And it's a great quality. We want to feature this on their thing. So the feature list is basically just extra exposure, which means I was going to get more people reading it, more validation. And so they contacted me at 3 months and then officially went live at 4 months. That same story accrued over 1 million reads. That's another awesome thing. It also reached number 2 in all of science fiction on Wattpad. And let me remind you, there's over 300 million stories that are published on Wattpad. There's a lot more than that because that was a few months ago that number was surpassed. So it's a lot more than that now. And Wattpad only ranks the top 1,000 in any given category. And science fiction is one of the harder ones. It also, whenever I officially published it, so when I put it on Wattpad, it was free and it was just a rough draft. So whenever I officially published it, got it edited, things of that nature, it became a #1 bestseller on Amazon. And during this process as well, when I was experimenting with that story, I wrote some other things and submitted into some contests. And one of my other stories was a top 35 finalist for TNT's horror writing contest. So for that, TNT was hosting a contest, and the winner was going to win $20,000 and have their story adapted to TV or film. And I made it to the top 35. So out of the thousands of people that entered. So that's pretty awesome, you know. And then I was accepted as a Wattpad ambassador. I won 5 other writing contests that I did at the time. Wattpad also asked me to manage their science fiction profile and contest and a lot more. So it was basically a really good, you know, turnout for that year-long experiment. But those are just some good results. What were the best results? I now had the proof, credibility, and confidence that I could do this. Like, I just did it for a year where the minimum was 1,500 words a day, but I was actually outputting 5,000 words a day without burnout, loved it. People liked my writing. And so that told me, okay, I can do it. I love doing it, and people like my stuff. So now I can actually make a living with this. It wasn't just a dream or a fantasy. It could actually be my new reality. But like I said earlier, Wattpad is a free platform. So while it was nice to get all that feedback and things of that nature, none of those people were paying. I mean, there are things you can get from at a very basic level. No one was paying. So how did I take that new knowledge to make it into a full-time income? So I went from, okay, I like this, I can do it, to how do I turn this into money? How do I earn enough to feed my family? So basically break even. How do I earn more than just enough or a minimum to break even, but a lot more? And then to go one step further, how do I earn enough to never worry about money again? So I say money because it's a big thing, a big factor for a lot of people, but it's just a tool. But how do I earn enough of it so that I don't have to worry about anything? So if something breaks, okay, I'll fix it. I don't have to worry about what bills are going to get paid. I don't have to worry about government supplying unemployment pay for me and getting denied like I was before. You know, I had freedom now. I had the choice. So how do I get that? That was my goal. I didn't want to just break even. I wanted to actually have a surplus. So naturally, my first 2 thoughts were, well, my options are self-publishing and traditional publishing. And at the time, I had already published a few books the traditional route through a small press. So I had an idea of what that looked like. And I know a lot of people want to go traditionally, and I'll encourage you to do it. But I knew what that was like, and it didn't really do well for me. But part of that was my fault because I wasn't treating it like a full-time job. And so naturally, I didn't get the results I needed. So I was hearing more about self-publishing. I was like, all right, well, this is a pretty good option. I can control this, and I get a higher royalty, things of that nature. And now I know people like my stuff, so I just can maybe promote it to them. But those are my 2 options that I thought at the time. Excuse me. So here are some stats and statistics that I looked up and found when I was figuring out which path should I take. Less than 1%, and maybe you know this, less than 1% of authors who go self-publishing or traditionally publishing earn less than $1,000. I mean, they earn more than $1,000 in their lifetime. not like per month. It's the lifetime of their publishing books at all. Less than 1% earn more than $1,000. And basically, my goal at the time was I want to quit my job. So at the time, I finally got a job as a technical writer. So I wanted to quit that to write novels full time. And so my goal was I want to earn 100K. So that's what this next point is all right, well, how do I get 100K as my goal? Well, if I did self-publishing, then I would have to sell 48,000 copies priced at $2.99 with 70% royalties to earn that. That's self-publishing. If I went traditionally published, it'd be even more than that because the royalty split is so much lower. And that's not counting, obviously you get an advance that can kind of supplement that, but it's normally, unless you're a well-known author, it's not going to be a lot, if anything. So it was going to be even more books I'd have to sell to earn 100K traditionally or self-publishing. And that was with ebooks because you have a higher margin of return for ebooks. But if it was paperback, I'd have to sell even more. So already I'm starting off of, all right, well, these are my only two options that I thought at the time. It's not looking so great for me in terms of my odds of making this happen. The good news is that, you know, it is possible because if 1% are doing it, it means it's possible, but it's harder to do it. So what about ghostwriting? So where did that even come from? How did I figure that out? So the idea of ghostwriting, I always knew about ghostwriting, but I didn't like actively know about it in my conscious frame of mind. So what I mean by that is when you interact with the world, what you actively think about on a daily basis. So I wasn't even thinking about ghostwriting as an option. It was self-publishing or traditional publishing. Those were my options. But ghostwriting, the idea of it came about from a movie called Ghostwriter with Ewan McGregor. And while I was watching it, within the first few minutes, it just dinged in my mind, what about ghostwriting? Why don't you try that out? So I spent the entire movie researching ghostwriting, what it is, what they do, what they charge, how to find clients, things of that nature, how to get better. The entire movie, I don't even know what the movie was about because I didn't watch it. I spent the whole time researching. By the end of the movie, I was locked in. I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure this is what I'm going to go. So here are some pros that I discovered with ghostwriting. There's no upfront costs. So if I was going to self-publish, I'd have to cover everything. If I was traditionally published, then they would cover it, but I would take a lower cut in terms of royalty and things of that nature. But there's no upfront cost for ghostwriting. And another huge thing, it didn't matter if the book sold. Someone's going to pay me to write, and after I write it, I'm done. They pay me, I'm done. It doesn't matter if the book sells or not because I've already gotten paid. And so, like I said, you get paid up front. There's no waiting. So if you self-publish or even traditionally publish, you have to wait. So if you have sales, you have to wait in order to get paid for this. I don't have to wait. I get paid up front. And I don't have to hope that I'm going to earn enough. Like, so if you're self-publishing, you're like, well, I don't know how many books I'm going to sell this month. And you're just living in fear. But with ghostwriting, I know exactly what I'm going to get right up front. There's no marketing, no publishing, no editing, no formatting, no need to be an extrovert. A lot of you guys might be an introvert where you don't really want to talk to people. That's fine. You don't need to. You know, you can work anywhere, anytime, however you want. If you want to wear swim trunks while you're working, go ahead. If you want to be naked, go at it. You know, maybe you don't have AC because you're trying to get by like I was at the time. And so you might not be wearing many clothes. And that's fine. You could do it. You have that freedom then. And then you can also write as much as you want or as little as you want. You set your schedule. You set your time frame. You set your workload. You're the boss, basically, of that. And that's what I wanted too. And then another perk, you network with people as you're doing this. So it's just like compounding on itself of, this is a good idea. Okay, I need to look into this. So earlier I mentioned the odds of success with self-publishing and traditionally publishing. A lot of us are familiar with those two things because that's what we hear about a lot about, and those are the top things. So I showed you some of those odds with that. So less than 1%, recap, less than 1% of authors ever make more than $1,000 in a lifetime of publishing books. You'd have to sell 48,000 copies of your book, priced at $2.99 at 70% royalty, to earn $100,000 a year. And it would be even less, or it would be even more than that with paperback. So I knew the odds for that. Well, what were the odds with ghostwriting? I liked the pros. They caught my interest, my attention. But what were the odds with it? So I broke it down into three things to kind of figure it out. And these are the three things that I encourage you whenever I coach people about this in their writing is, here's how you narrow it down to see what's possible for you to achieve. How many words do you write each month? How many books do you need to write each month? to reach your goal. So my goal was $100,000. So these are the questions I asked for $100,000. How many words do I need to write each month? How many books do I need to write each month? And what does my per word rate need to be in order to reach my goal of $100,000? So like I said, if I had to sell 48,000 copies of my book self-publishing to do it, what would it be for ghostwriting? So I'm going to speak by the numbers because, you know, you can take my word for it all day long, but numbers do not lie, and that's what I follow. I'm a numbers guy, so I always do numbers. I'm very analytical. So I said, all right, well, let me do the math. What is that? What does it look like so you can see it? So I started very, you know, conservative. I thought, all right, well, whenever I did the research, I said, all right, well, there's a lot of people paying 1 and 2 cents. That seems to be on the very low end, but people are doing it, which means, okay, I should be pretty good to at least get that. So what would that be? So I did the calculation for 2 cents a word. So here are some word counts that I said in terms of per month. So for me at the time, because I did that full year test run of developing daily habits, daily mindset routines, things of that nature, and I was outputting 5,000 words minimum every single day, I already knew that I could pump out 160,000 words per month, no burnout, because I was already doing it. So that was my starting point. I did the other numbers just so you could see for comparative sake. But for my number, I was looking at the 160,000 word as the minimum. So at 2 cents a word, I would earn $3,200. So already I'm like, hey, that's really nice. I'm not changing a thing, and I'm already making $3,200. It's not enough to cover all my expenses, because my expenses at the time were $5,000 a month, and expenses were looping in bills, 401k, savings, any money leaving the account is what I consider an expense. So I round up, and I rounded it to, all right, 5,000. So it's not quite that, so I'm not breaking even, but man, that could certainly pay a lot of the bills, and that would be nice. So I was like, all right, not too bad. So I was like, well, what would it be if it was 3 cents a word? Right off the bat, at my current output, $4,800. So right there, I already know in order to break even to cover all my expenses, I have to charge 3 cents a word at my current output per month. So that was nice to know. I was like, all right, well, 2 cents a word, I can get that pretty quickly. If I just add 1 extra cent, that's not a huge jump, but you know, someone could probably give that to me. But wow, it makes a huge difference in terms of the income and the revenue for the month. And that's nice. So now I knew, okay, I'm at least breaking even. But that's not what my goal was. Remember how I said earlier, my goal was $100,000, but I wanted the freedom of choice to where I didn't have to worry about money. Making that breaking even, I'm still worrying about money. You know, so that was not reaching my goal. That was just a minimum. And if I wanted to quit my job at the time to do this full time, my wife would have freaked out if I said, hey, I'm quitting my job to do this, and we're just breaking even. So I knew that wasn't going to work. So I said, okay, well, what if I charged 5 cents a word? What would that be? And here are the numbers for that. And I'm only going to focus on the 160,000 word mark because that's where I was. But for you, look at the other numbers. So starting with 50,000 words at the minimum, that's already $2,500 right there. For some of you, that might cover all your monthly expenses. You know, for me, it was covering half of them. But for you, you might be living more frugal than I was, or lives in a different state where it's a little cheaper, or maybe a higher state. So either way, $2,500 is going to change someone's life radically. You know, it would have changed mine. So that's 50,000 words. That's doable. But for me, I was looking at the 160,000 word mark. Right there, you see $8,000 right there. So already, I knew that I had it. All I had to do was charge 5 cents a word at my current monthly output that I was already doing because I had done it for a year. I already knew I could do it without burning out, and people liked my stuff, so I already had the info. All I had to do was charge 5 cents a word, and I already reached my goal of 6 figures, to be able to quit my job, earning 6 figures, doing what I love, writing novels. That's it. I had my answer. All I had to do was that. And now it was like, oh, well, okay, now I know the odds. The odds are really good. You know, I have to sell 48,000 copies from my own stuff to earn 6 figures, or I only have to write 1 or 2 books a month. So for me, you know, some books might be 160,000 words, but I decided to break it up to, all right, well, if that was 2 books, so that's what I'm saying. I only have to write 1 or 2 books a month in terms of my word count per month to earn 6 figures. 1 or 2 books a month is significantly easier and more doable than 48,000 books that I have to do everything. I have to market it. I have to format it. I have to edit it. I have to make a cover design. I have to do ads. You know, I have to be more extroverted, and that's going to suck up a lot of my time, which would take away from the word output. So already I was like, duh, ghostwriting is the way to go. But I was still one thing missing. Who's going to pay me for it? How do I find someone to actually pay me for those words I'm generating already at the 5 cents a word marker? That was my goal. Where do I find them? How do I get them? So here is the dilemma and what I call false thinking that I had at the time, and that a lot of writers have as well, just in general with ghostwriting and writing in general. Finding clients. Where the heck are they? Someone over here looked under that rock and they found a client paying $10,000. I went to the same rock, lifted up, and all I found was scorpions that tried to sting me. I don't like that, or someone all these people over here are succeeding, but it's not for me. No one's going to pay the rates that I'm asking. So, I saw that people are paying 1 or 2 cents a word, but that's bottom feeder type of rates and not enough to really, for me, reach my goals. So nobody's going to pay the rates that I'm asking for. 5 cents a word, that's crazy. That's really high. No one's going to pay that. That's what I thought, and that's what a lot of people think. It's hard to find clients. Everyone else can find clients, but I can't find clients. I wish I was that 1% that was earning over $1,000 for their books in terms of self-publishing. I wish I was that. They can do it, but I can't. What's happening? All clients are content mills. All they want to do is pay you pennies for your work. They want to burn you out and have you write hundreds of thousands of words per month and then pay you 5 cents, basically, to be really exaggeration for it. Will it be worth my time? Well, clients are paying you nothing. And metaphorically speaking, if they're paying you 1 or 2 cents a word, that feels like nothing. So it might as well be nothing to you, because if it feels that way, that's what it is to you. It's not worth your time at that point. And that's another false thinking and false belief is it's not worth my time to ghostwrite or to write in general because no one's paying. I can't earn it. I stink at marketing. I don't want to sell my stuff. It's going to take a lot of time to earn what I need. And like I said, 48,000 books, that's hard to do unless you already have a system in place, a following, things of that nature. And then lastly, actually getting paid. It's nice, Matthew. Some people do it, but it's not going to happen to me. I thought the same way. A lot of people think the same way. But those are false thinkings. So what were the steps that I took to make this a reality, to actually find clients who were going to pay my asking rate of 5 cents a word so that I could quit my job and earn my 6-figure goal right off the bat? What did I do to do it? How did I find them? So I always talk about mindset because that's the number one thing to do. So here are the top 3 things that I did to basically manifest that dream, find clients willing to pay me what I wanted. Number 1, faith and commitment. So to me, I'm a Christian, so I believe in God. And so that really helped me get out of the dark pit that I was in, where I was suffering from chronic depression and pain and anxiety on a daily basis. It was just getting worse, and I hated my life. I questioned everything. I blamed everyone and everything. My faith in God allowed me to get out of that. But that also means faith in terms of faith in yourself, friends having faith and belief in you. So friends, coworkers, random people supporting you, encourage you. Perhaps you went to a grocery store and you were super depressed and someone smiled at you and that just boosted your spirits. That's what I mean by faith. All of those things kind of play into that. Just faith that it can happen. And then commitment. Like I said, I made the commitment. I'm gonna give this a valid shot for a year, see if I can do it, if I like it, if anyone likes my stuff. And then I took actionable daily steps to manifest that. So one of those manifestations and actionable steps was minimum 1,500 words per day. And that obviously quickly increased. That's what I mean. So those are the actionable steps for that. Next was education and guidance. I am telling you, I waited too long for this. I'm doing it a lot more now, which is why things are going even better. But you have to find mentors, people who are already doing what you want to do, and learn from them. So I sought training. I did conferences. I attended webinars. I read a ton of books. I just surrounded myself with people doing what I wanted to do and learned from them. So on Wattpad, the reason why I had such success on there, one reason is I researched the people who had done well on Wattpad and got book deals from the big 5 or movie or TV deals. What did they do to get that? I researched their stories and then try to mimic it and learn and implement some of their things. That's what I mean by education and guidance, is seeking out that knowledge because it's out there. Learn from the people so that you can do it. And then daily actions. I already touched on this briefly, but actionable daily steps. So that's mindset and tangible, practical things. So the practical was 1,500 words per day minimum output and publishing a chapter a day. That's the practical kind of thing. The other side that's more mindset for daily action is every single day reminding myself what my goal is, I am going to achieve it no matter what. I'm going to give this a shot. I have what it takes. So basically self-talk kind of deal. But what you'll learn is that actually manifests that reality, because you have to change your mindset to actually be capable of believing what you can do. So at the time, I was living in a scarcity mindset. I was a victim. That's how I saw everything. You know, that was my life. I could not fathom where I am now then, because my mindset didn't match it. So that's part of these daily routines, is to get your mindset and actionable items, tangible things to get you there so that you are then capable of it. So here's the truth about earning six figures. So I touched on it briefly, that it wasn't going to take me long to do it. But so those are the numbers, but here are more of the frame of mind to kind of grasp. Here are the truths that I call them in terms of ghostwriting. You have to determine what you need to live, then work backward. And what I mean by that is, for me, I needed $5,000 per month to pay all my expenses. So that was my need. That's my minimum. That's breaking even. You have to determine what that is. If you don't know what that is in order to survive, then take last month's expenses. So expenses are all money leaving your account, whether it's going to investments, savings, or fast food. Anything leaving your account is an expense. Look at last month's to get an idea if you have no idea what that is. Add that up. Now you know what that is. Knowing where you stand is the number one starting point to be able to get to your goal. If you don't know where you are, there's no way to figure out how to get there. So that's number one. I had to know what my monthly expenses were, what I needed. So $5,000 was me. It may be more or less for you. And then the next thing was, that's just breaking even. That's not what I want. We're all talking about living in surplus and abundance and having freedom and choice and not having to worry about money or anything like that ever again. Breaking even doesn't give you that. So we have to add more onto that monthly goal. So my suggestion to you, if you don't know what your goal should be, because you can't even fathom, well, 5,000 is a lot for me. I can't even think about that. Or maybe you're like, well, I want 10,000, but that seems like a really high number. Well, my suggestion would be start with 25%. Take your monthly expenses, add 25% to it. That is now your starting point for what your monthly goal is to attack. And now, so what I'm saying is basically those are the keys to success. If you know those things, you know your starting point, and you know where you can go from there. Not knowing those things, not knowing what you need to basically break even, not knowing what you need in terms of what you want to achieve. If you don't know that, that's how writers burn out. That's how writers don't get paid enough. That's how writers get taken advantage of from clients and get paid basically nothing. And it just fuels the self-loathing of this doesn't work mentality. That's how it happens. Because if you don't know where you are, you can't get out of it. So the truth about earning six figures as a ghostwriter, it's much easier than you think, than I thought. I showed you the numbers earlier. All I had to do was charge 5 cents a word at my current output of 160,000 words a month to earn $8,000 a month. So I'm already basically at six figures right there. 1 or 2 books. That's all it took without changing a single thing. 1 or 2 books. Excuse me. Self-publishing, 48,000 books at ebooks, the highest margin. Paperback could be more. Traditionally published, it'd be even longer. So 48,000 or 1 or 2 books. It was pretty simple to choose. Hey, this ghostwriting is way easier. Having the right mindset is basically the majority of the battle. The moment you believe that it's possible for you, not because a lot of us know that it's possible because people are doing it, but it's hard for us to believe that it's possible for us. It's hard for us to believe that it can actually happen to us. That can be our actual reality for our life. It's hard for us to believe that. Once you shift that mindset to actually, no, this can happen, then it will happen. And then killing a scarcity mindset kills productivity and success. That's where I was in 2015. I had a scarcity mindset, I had a victim mindset. It was always, woe is me, nothing's going to work out for me kind of deal. That's what I mean by that. There's not enough out there. I don't have enough to do this. That's what I mean by scarcity. That kills productivity because you don't ever take action. You're always stuck in fear. And that's why I didn't succeed for so long, is because I was always trapped by fear of to take action. I was fearful that if I did something else would go wrong because it happened before. So I was like, oh, well, if I do this, it's not going to work out. So I didn't try. And that's why I just stayed where I was and got worse. I didn't try. You have to get over that. That's why I say mindset shift is basically the majority of the battle. Once you get rid of that, you're able to actually do it. You can then see that the surplus is all around you. You just have to tap into it. And like I said, $1 or $2 a month at earning 6 figures for the year, that's a surplus. And $1 or $2, that's how easy it is to get the surplus that was already there. So how did I get clients? How do you get clients for it? So if you chose ghostwriting like I did, how the heck are you going to find clients that are going to pay you what you want? So I'm going to talk real briefly about, so I'm breaking it into what failing writers do, what successful writers do. So here's what failing writers do. And this is what I was doing for years, which is why I was failing and not doing anything with my life in terms of writing. This is what I was doing. You take on any job. So you just send out rapid proposals to all the jobs. You take on jobs that pay you less than what you want. So you have a desperate mindset, a desperate mentality. And that's where I was too. So taking on any job that's not going to reach your goal. So when I say what you want, I'm talking about what your goal is, not the breaking even, the minimum. It's above that. That's your goal. You take on jobs that don't help you get there. So you might take on a job that pays you $10. That's not going to help you get to, if your goal was $5,000 a month like mine was for breaking even. My actual goal was $10,000. Taking on $10 jobs is not going to help me get to, I mean, it technically it does, but it's not realistic. It's not really going to help me get to my $10,000 per month goal that I had at the time. So that's what failing writers do. They take on all those jobs that suck up all their time and stress them out. And then they're so stressed out, like I did all this work and I didn't get paid anything. Or you find a client, like happened to me once, is they tried to scam me, and filed a dispute for $10. I learned my lesson early on of, hey, it's not worth my time to deal with low paying things because it's not helping me reach my goal. And the people that I was dealing with at the time had a scarcity mindset too. So I learned early on, fortunately, before I got too far into it, that I need to get away from that. They don't research the market. They don't research the client. So they don't know, if you're going to write science fiction, for example, you need to understand what the tropes of science fiction are. So if you're going to write post-apocalyptic, you need to know what the tropes are for that, of what readers are expecting. If you don't even know that stuff, you can't even start. You won't be successful if you don't know what the expectations are. And that's dealing with the client too. What are they looking for? What do they want to achieve? Then another huge thing, and this was huge for me, they don't know how to say no. They say yes to everything because they feel like they have to. They feel like if they say no to something, they're going to miss out, and then boom, their world's going to end, and they're not going to be able to pay their electric bill or be able to go to the grocery store and get something to eat for that week. And if you have children or family, I'm not going to be able to provide for my family. You start freaking out, and you just start building this stuff up to all reasonable fears and concerns, but they're not reality unless you actually create them. And so that was something I had to learn early on, is how to say no. The more you say no, the more successful you'll be. Another thing, failing writers don't know what they need or want each month in terms of revenue. So they don't even know what their starting point is. They don't know what they need in order to break even to pay for all their expenses. They don't even know what they want to achieve above that. They just say, well, I want to earn $100,000. Well, they don't really know what the $100,000 means to them because they don't know where they currently stand. They don't know how many words they need to write per day or per month to be able to earn what their goal is. And then lastly, they have a scarcity mindset and they don't focus on serving others and being generous. All of these things is what people in any field, if they're not being successful, if they're not, and success is subjective. So whatever success means to you, it fits that. These are the beliefs or what they're doing. And this is what I was doing, which is why I was failing. But the positive, what do successful writers do? Because this is what we want to focus on. Well, what are the people that are doing what I want to do? What are they doing? What are they thinking about? What are their actionable items? What are their daily mindsets? Here's what some of those are. Number one, they know their monthly output in terms of words. They know how much they can write each day, each month on average. Because sometimes you're going to have a really good day or a really good month, and other times not so great. But they know that they average. So for me, I always underestimate. So if I wrote 200,000 words one month, and another month maybe 100,000, I assume that 100,000 is what my output on average. I always take the worst case scenario, then I round down just because, that's the bare minimum. And if anything above that, it's just a surplus, So that's what I do it. Successful writers know what that is. Then they know how much they actually need to earn to cover their expenses. So for me, $5,000 per month was my expense coverage for everything. And then my goal was $10,000. So I knew what that was. They know what their revenue goals are. So like I said, my goal was 10,000. But for you, if you don't know what that is, I encourage you to just take all your expenses, like I said earlier, add 25%. That's your starting point. That's just to get you started to start thinking the way you have to think to actually do this. And then they break down their word rates. They know what they need to charge per word to earn their monthly goals. Also, what they do, they only, oh man, I wish someone had told me this earlier on. It would have saved me a ton of time and stress. They only apply to jobs that fit their skills and what they want to achieve. So like I said a little bit ago, I took on low-paying jobs, like $10 jobs, and got bit the one time from it, from a bad experience. And sometimes that happens and you learn your lesson. But the better thing is if you can learn your lesson without learning it from the mistakes. Learn from my mistakes. Learn from someone else's mistakes to bypass that. That's why you seek mentors, so you can bypass all those obstacles. You don't have to live through it. I didn't do that in the beginning, so I had to suffer through it a little bit. But they only apply to jobs that fit their goals and help them get there. So only apply to things that are going to help them get to their, for me, $10,000 per month goal. They research the market and the clients. So they're aware of what readers are expecting for books within specific genres or subgenres, and they know what the clients are looking for. And part of the research is researching client reviews for the people. So if these clients have already done stuff before, there's going to be reviews from past freelancers. Read those to see, was it a good experience? Was this person just trying to lowball them and try to just be a content mill and burn them out? You'll find that through the reviews, and that can save you a lot of time. I didn't do this in the beginning, but this is what successful writers do. Another key thing, they tailor every single proposal to the client. They don't use, in the beginning, I was using a template and just rapid fire, boom, 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 boom. I sent out one proposal or something like that, one template of a proposal to multiple clients. And it's no wonder I basically didn't really get good traction in the beginning until I changed that. And that's what failing writers do. They just send out to everyone the same thing. Successful writers do the opposite. They take their time, they tailor and personalize every single proposal specifically to what the client's looking for. And that immediately allows you to get picked up way easier. Like I said earlier, they know what they need to reach their goal. And then probably the biggest thing the mindset for me, I always preach mindset, because if the mindset's right, everything else will fall in line around it. All right. So they maintain an abundant mindset of generosity and serving others. There is no scarcity. There's surplus everywhere. And what I like to tell people about this, because if you're struggling like I was, it's hard to be able to accept that there's surplus and abundance around you and that you can tap into it and get it immediately. It's hard to believe that, and because I was there, so I know what it's like, what it feels like. But here's an analogy that I like to say. Well, it's not really an analogy. It's kind of like a statistical thing, but is the average person worldwide can live off $2.50 a day. The average. So immediately, if you're in the United States or somewhere like that where there's a lot of surplus and you're in a tough spot and you have a ton of debt, you don't have a job or whatever it is, like I was, and when you hear that number, you're $2.50, and you might laugh like a sarcastic, are you kidding me? There's no way the average person can live off $2.50 a day. No way. I can't even live off of $1,000 a month kind of deal. How is that possible? Well, that just shows you, if you think that way, and that's because $2.50 is a reality for the average person around the world, that just shows how much surplus is actually out there. So for the United States people like me, if earning $30,000 a year is basically poverty level and you're barely getting by, that's a lot more than $2.50 a day right there. And if that's the case, that just means that's how much surplus is. So that's one way to kind of get an idea of knowing what the true reality is. What you're currently in is not really the reality. It's whatever you make it kind of deal as a principle. And that's one way to kind of see it is, well, if someone can live off $2.50 a day, and that sounds ridiculous to me, I can't even buy coffee for that, that's surplus. That's how you know about it. So getting clients is opposite from what you think. Opposite to what I was thinking in the beginning. Getting clients is actually opposite to what you think. You have to learn how to say no. The more you say no, the more clients say yes to what you're asking for. So it's just being very selective, very intentional with what you're doing. and with your actions and what you're applying for and things of that nature so you can reach your goal. The same thing goes with, people. If you're trying to get out of a funk to have a surplus life or abundant life, things of that nature, there's a lot of things that go into it outside of money. And sometimes that means saying no to going out with friends, going to a bar, hanging out with this crowd of people who are just negative all the time. That's not going to help you reach your goal. So that's part of this learning how to say no. Saying no, we just believe that it's a bad thing, that if we say no to someone, that they're going to look at us wrong and judge us. That's a scarcity and fear mindset. Saying no is actually the people who are the most successful. So, for example, Jeff Bezos, I think if I'm accurate, he's like the richest guy in the world now. He probably says no way, way, way more than he says yes. And that's what the most successful people do in any field. They say no to things that don't help them get to their goal. Now, remember, of work. So we have to get that out of there. It's there. I'll show you how to get it to it. So you might be asking, all right, I agree with you, Matthew. This all makes sense, but does it actually work? So don't take my word for it. I'm going to show you actual live examples of which happened to me so you can see and let the numbers speak for themselves. So I took screenshots of different jobs from Upwork. So Upwork, like I said, is where I started to find a lot of stuff and was able to quit my job as a technical writer to write full-time. And now I get about 50% of my clients come from Upwork. The rest of them come through referrals and things of that nature. So right here you see, okay, so I've highlighted their budget, and then on the next slide, what they actually paid me, just to give you an idea of, well, you might be thinking, it makes sense, it's nice, but did anyone actually pay you your 5 cents a word that you were going for? No one's going to pay that, Matt. I don't believe that they'll pay that. There's no way it's going to happen. I'm going to show you that it actually happened and they actually paid more. So here's the budget for this person, $0. If you saw $0 for this, then you'd be like, I'm not going to apply to that. I'm not going to waste my time on that. Here's where successful writers know the difference, is they research the client. So what you have, and they research the market. So the market is Upwork, where there's a lot of jobs. Understand that the idea of that is Upwork forces clients to put a budget. Most clients do not know what their budget should be. They don't even know what they're looking for necessarily or what to expect. You have to guide them. So, excuse me, when I saw this, after I did some more research and figured out more about this client, and so for this person, he was a very successful business person in Australia and had opened up several different jobs, businesses that were successful. And he wanted to write a book basically to teach people what he did, how to do it, so they could do it too. So when I saw this, I immediately knew that, hey, based off the job description, what he's looking for, he's already made millions. So he's just putting a zero budget because he doesn't know what to put. And a lot of times what you'll notice if you research the market is that clients will put low ball offers like this, budgets, because it's a scarcity mindset. I don't want to put too high of a number and then have gotten someone that would have done it for less. So even clients can have scarcity mindsets. And I will talk a little bit about that too with the psychology that goes around this with numbers, but even a client can think that way. And so naturally right here, $0. So you might have thought, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to waste my time. But I did the research. I was like, all right, this is pretty good. Let me submit a proposal to this. And I personalized it. So what do you think he paid me? Let's throw out a number real quick, real briefly. What do you think this guy actually paid me for the book that I wrote for him? All right. Here's what he paid me. $2,400. And I'm going to tell you, he paid me $2,400. I didn't write the book for him. I only wrote a trial sample for him. A trial sample, meaning one chapter. He paid me $2,400 for one chapter. That's significantly more than probably a lot of you, if you're familiar with ghostwriting or anything in general, that people are paying. You're like, wow, $2,400? I can't even get that for an entire book. You got it for a chapter? $2,400 for just a chapter. Here's another guy. Their budget was $5,000. So already, by understanding the psychology that goes on to this, that's a high budget. Anyone would say, wow, I'd take $5,000 for a book any given day. Heck yeah, that's really awesome. So that tells me one thing. This client has an abundant mindset. They're basically looking for value. So you have to always present value. It's never about cost. It's always an investment. How much value can you give the client? The more value you give, the more they're willing to pay you and be happy to it. So this guy already told me Just by seeing the numbers without talking to him, I knew, okay, he's looking for value. If I present the value to him, he'll pay me whatever I ask him. So his budget was $5,000, already awesome. Guess what he paid me? So $1,800. So immediately you may think, oh, wow, Matthew, that's really bad. He had a budget of $5,000 and you only got $1,800. What the heck happened? He paid you less. Another example, I didn't write the book for him. He paid me $1,800 for 2 chapters. 2 chapters. And I want to say that it was between 5,000 and 10,000 words, maybe less than that. 2 chapters, $1,800. That's more than a lot of people get paid for an entire book. So I'm telling you, it's out there. You can get paid for this. This wasn't even for a whole book. Another one, $2,500 is their budget. And look, if you see right here in the job description, it says this job description is private. So if you see, I have a few examples like that, and all it means is that someone invited me. They sent me an invitation for a job. And which means I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to work to do it. I didn't have to find that client. I didn't have to write a proposal. Nothing. They came to me. And this starts happening when you get into this. It starts happening where people come after you. You don't have to do anything. They just come after you, and you just have to say yes or no. And in this case, I end up saying yes because it fit what I was looking for. So $2,500 already is awesome as a budget. And they found me. So no work off me, no time sweat. What do you think this guy paid me? This person paid me close to $9,500. And look at the review. Great writer, better person. What that tells me and what that tells you and what that will tell other clients is that I presented value. The more value you present to a client, the happier they will be. And look, his budget was $2,500. He was happy to pay me $9,500, significantly more than what his budget was. He was happy for it. His feedback even told me that. Here's another example. $4,500 is their budget. Another one that's really good is if you saw something like that, like, okay, this could be a good client because they have an abundant mindset. They could be good to work with. They're willing to pay what I'm asking for, $4,500. Not too bad. That's a pretty good starting point. And if you remember my numbers earlier, that's basically paying for all my monthly expenses. So already, if that's the minimum I get, I'm breaking even. So that's pretty good. Here's what he actually paid me. Close to $11,000. And if you see right there, it says job in progress. So I am actually still doing work for this guy. He's actually paid me close to $13,000 right now. So more than what the number is showing right there. So his budget, we'll show you again, $4,500, which is already awesome. He's already paid me over $12,000, and I'm still doing stuff for him. And he just signed me on for a multiple book series, even more stuff and other higher and priced higher. Because I explained that, my rate's higher now than it was when we first started. I presented the value. He could say yes or no. He actually said yes. And now I'm actually going to be earning even more than this from him because of it. Another example, $1,500. Another one that was invite only. So I'll touch real briefly. So when I said invite only, so on Upwork, there is a hidden community that a lot of people don't know about, which is basically there's a lot of clients, a lot of enterprise clients. So basically enterprise means people who are willing to pay thousands of dollars minimum, per month, where it's invite only, which means the only way you see the job is if they sent you an invitation. Here's an example of that. Another one where they sent me an invitation. I did absolutely nothing to find this job, didn't write a proposal, nothing. All I had to do was respond to the invitation. And that's what I did, obviously, because I did research on what they were. And this fits with what I'm looking for, helps me get to my goal. Let me see. And now when you see these budgets, that's not what I bidded. That's not what I quoted them at. My quote was always higher because I knew what I wanted. What I wanted was $10,000 per month minimum to reach my goal. So if I was going to write 1 or 2 books a month, that's how I figured out my quote. So my quote was always higher than what their budget was. And this is I'm showing you all this stuff to show you that there is surplus out there. You can tap into it easily with the right mindset and knowing what you're worth and presenting the value. So $1,500, another invitation only. They paid me $15,000. Let me show you again. $1,500 is their budget. They invited me. So they sought me out, no effort on my end, $1,500, not bad still for a lot of you. $15,000. So basically, it was almost like I said, hey, this is all good, but let me go ahead and add a 0 onto your budget. And if you look at the feedback right there, they were ecstatic to pay me 10 times their budget. 10 times their budget. I don't know if you're hearing that, but if someone told me that in the beginning, whenever I was living in scarcity mindset mode in 2015, I wouldn't have believed them. Even if I saw the numbers like I'm showing you right now, I wouldn't have believed it. I would have thought, yeah, I see that. Yeah, I know that's real and it's a screenshot and it's legit, but I still don't believe it. That's why you have to change your mindset so you can actually accept that these are realities that you can actually experience. $15,000 that person paid me and was happy to pay me. So those were some examples to show you, what's possible. It actually happened. You can do it too. But what should you do? You might be thinking, I like all this, but what should you do? What should you do? Should you consider ghostwriting? So I will keep this high level of, how do you do this? Why do you choose ghostwriting? How do you get paid what you're worth? So what I mean by worth is not who you are as a person, but what you want to get paid. That's what I mean by what you get worth. How to get clients that are happy to pay you what you want. So I just showed you examples. They were all happy and willing to pay me well above their budgets. Well above their budgets. I'm going to talk to you about how to do that. And then how to take all that and to develop it into a steady business that keeps on growing. So first, how do you do it? You have to establish a daily writing and mindset routines. That's the mindset is you believe that it's possible for you. So you talk in the present tense. So here's an example of mindset shift on a daily routine. Looking in the mirror and say, I am a 6-figure ghostwriter. Always in the present tense. I am a 6-figure ghostwriter. I love what I do. I am doing what my childhood dream is. I am writing full time. I am having clients pay me what I'm worth because I'm asking them, presenting value. I am not living in a scarcity mindset. I am living in an abundant mindset. I am always generous and serving others. Things like that. You're talking in the present tense of what you want to achieve. You do that. That's how you shift your mindset and you manifest reality. And then the daily routines, our actionable steps, what I was doing was daily word count, 1,500 words minimum, 1,500 words. And then you kind of go from there. You have to know what that is. And then because you did all that, now you know what your word count is per month. Then you have to be able to say no to jobs jobs, people, friendships, whatever it is, that do not help you get to your goal. This isn't being rude or callous or whatever that is. It's just knowing it's not going to help you get there. And then going into it, you're not settling. You don't settle for a job paying you $100 for a 50,000 word book. You don't settle for it. You don't even settle for one that pays you $1,000 or $2,000 because you know what your worth is. You don't settle, or you don't settle for this friendship that keeps holding you back and they're always negative. You give up the friendship or something like that. Or if it's a family member, you can't really give up family members, but you can distance yourself to a degree. That's what I mean by you don't settle and you say no. Why ghostwriting? Again, here are some high-level things of why you consider ghostwriting. No need to be a salesperson. You don't need to be an extrovert. You can work in your boxers or pajamas if you want to, or naked, like I said earlier. Or you could wear a suit, whatever you want to do, you can do it. If you could wear an animal costume or your Halloween costume, whatever you want to do, you can do it. You can get repeat clients. So I showed you some examples that are repeat clients, like the one guy at the end that I said has already paid me over $12,000 and he just signed me on for multiple books. That's a repeat client. That's how you can really make a good living with this. You can control your schedule and workload. You can make a good living while in addition to writing your own stuff. You can earn funds to pay for that stuff. So for all that marketing, cover design, and editing, you now have funds to do it, to make a living with your own stuff, to increase your monthly passive income. You can experiment with other genres and subgenres. So like I said earlier, if you're a science fiction writer, but you want to try romance because the market is gigantic, if you're good at writing romance and know what you're doing, even for ghostwriting, they'll pay you, you can get paid 15, 25 cents a word if you're really good, especially for erotica, for romance. Now you can experiment to see if it's something you like and you're able to do. You make money faster and easier. You develop connections with other professionals in the publishing industry. So now you're learning even more, getting more skilled. You're developing your skills and just so much more. You get paid. How do you get paid what you're worth? Number one, you know what you need and what you want each month. So you know what you need to break even to pay for all your expenses, and you know what you need in order to reach your surplus goal. Then you reverse engineer back from there. You personalize every single proposal or interaction with somebody every time. I don't even care if it takes you an hour per proposal. I'm telling you right now, you'll get a lot more proposals that say yes than that you don't want. And here's another, it's not on here, but here's a tip for that is you only need a few people to say yes to reach your goal. So I already showed you that all I had to do was have one or a lot. You just need a few. That's why you personalize everything. It gives you a better chance to actually succeed. Only apply to jobs that fit your goals and help you get there. If the job's not going to help you reach your goals, forget it. Don't even do it. Don't waste your time. And then always maintain this mindset that there is surplus everywhere. There's abundance everywhere. You can tap into it and take a little bit, and a little bit of that abundance is going to be a lot to you and radically change your life. And then another key, be generous to everyone with your time, your resources, your talents, whatever it is. Be generous and help and serve others. The more you're blessed, you bless others. You know, it's like a compounding effect. You have to have that mindset. Get clients that actually pay you what you want, and they're happy to do it. So in order to do that, you have to research the market and research the client history. You have to filter job searches that fit your criteria. So be very selective. Read client reviews. Be respectful and professional all of the time with every person you interact with, even if they're not a client, even if they're not being. Always be respectful and courteous and kind. Maintain a professional profile and work history. Write better proposals. And that sounds kind of vague, but what I mean by that is knowing what you're writing, who you're writing to, what you're worth, what you want, and then focus that proposal into solving them problems. So if you're on Upwork, for example, if someone posted a job on there, that's their problem. They would not be posting a job on there if they didn't want someone to help them with something. So focus on solving that, relieving their overwhelm, solving that problem, taking away stress, helping them reach a goal faster, whatever it is. Always offer free advice and guidance and tips before you get the job. And even if you don't get the job, always offer more than what people are willing to pay or asking for, even if you're going to get nothing in return. How do you basically develop a business that keeps on growing? Well, you have to think bigger. In order to think bigger, you have to actually change how you believe to understand that there is more out there. So one of my goals, like I said, was 6 figures for the year. That's a huge goal for a lot of people. Well, at the time, that was even a hard goal for me to even think and believe was possible. I definitely at the time couldn't believe that I was going to make $1 million a year, you know. But as you scale up and start doing more and change your mindset and belief systems, you are then capable of, one, thinking of those ideas and those goals, seeing that they're real and possible, and then taking actionable steps to get there. So that's one thing, thinking bigger. Network with other clients and other freelancers. So always learn, always surround yourself with people that are like-minded, trying to get to where you're going or who are already there. Always learn from other people and help them. Look for other means to expand your business. So you might start off with ghostwriting, but maybe you can do editing. Maybe you can do covers design. Maybe you can do formatting. Maybe you can publish books for people. Maybe you can help people with ads. Whatever it is, you can add those things onto your services for people to give more value. And then that's one way you can kind of earn higher rates. Coach and mentor other people. So as you get better, this is what I'm doing now, as you get better and you succeed, and you know, share that wealth of knowledge and experience with other people. Helping someone else is not going to hurt your chances. If I were to give every single person on this webinar a job that came to me and I said, no, I'm going to give it to someone else, that's not going to hurt me. Thinking that it would hurt me or limit me is a scarcity mindset. Abundance is, I can give all this to everyone else and I'm still going to be good to go, because that's what the reality is. So that's what I mean by coach and mentor other people. Always be willing to share and help other people. And then have a teachable spirit, obviously, so you keep learning yourself from others. And be generous. So that all plays into being generous with everybody at all times. So where do you go from here? You have all that information, all that knowledge to kind of help you kickstart this, but where do you go? How do you actually get started? So maybe you're thinking something like this. This all sounds awesome, but I don't even know where to start with ghostwriting. I don't know how to find clients. I don't know how to land jobs. that pay me with what I want to achieve. I don't know how to write proposals that exude the value that you're talking about. I don't even know how to earn enough to reach my goals. I am so overwhelmed. You don't understand, Matthew. I'm in a very bad place right now, financially, emotionally, or spiritually, or whatever it is. You don't understand. I kind of do, because I was there. I can't at a very root level, but you just feel overwhelmed. I understand what you're going through. I was there in 2015, which was only 2.5, 3 years ago, depending on the month that you start with. That was not very long ago. So I know what you're going through. And it's a daily struggle. Some days I start to feel myself drift back to that. You have to snap back and say, no, that's not my reality. It's this. And that's why you have those daily mindset and routines to do, so it keeps you on track. So I get it. I know what you're going through. But what if I told you this? I had a solution that would eliminate all of that overwhelm, doubt, and fear and anxiety, that would teach you step by step. And when I say step by step, I mean that literally. Do this, do this, do this. Here's how you do that, step by step of what to do and how to do it. And then this solution guaranteed that you would become a 6-figure writer. Would you want to know more? So in the chat channel, if you'd like to know more, just say, yes, sure. I'd love to know what that solution is. I want to earn 6 figures. Heck yeah, I want to do it. I want to do what you did. I want to be able to quit my job in 4 months or less, or whatever it is for you. It depends on your work ethic and stuff. But I definitely want to earn 6 figures. How is that possible? Sure. A lot of you are saying yes. So I'm not going to keep you waiting. So here's what it's called, the solution that I'm basically talking about here. So earlier, if you're here earlier when I first started this webinar, I said there's a special opportunity at the end that I'm going to share. And as a recap, there's nothing to purchase. I'm just sharing with you a solution, an opportunity that can help you become a 6-figure ghostwriter in 6 months or less, guaranteed. And it sounds kind of crazy to say guaranteed, but it is, because I've done it. And so it's a 6-figure ghostwriter, a 12-month mentoring program. So earlier, when I was testing out all my stuff, my theory, could I do this? Could I make it a reality? I committed to 12 months. So it's because I had success with it. It's enough time, but not too much time to be able to commit to something to where you can actually do something. And so if you see my little tagline, earn more, work less. So right now, in the beginning, I was writing 4 to 5 books a month, not because I needed to, but because I wanted to. I was fueled with motivation. Man, these people are paying me what I want. It's a lot. I'm going to do more because I want to get more than my 10,000 per month kind of goal. So I wrote 4 to 5 books per month in the beginning. I don't recommend that for anybody. Even though I enjoyed it and I loved it, it was a lot of work. But now, earn more, work less. I actually have to write less, but I get paid more. That's part of scaling up, and that's kind of what goes into this mentoring program. So I broke it down into 6 parts just to kind of give you a high-level overview of what this mentoring program consists of. Now, when I say 12 months, it's not going to take 12 months to actually scale to 6 figures. It's basically, this whole process is to move quickly, get you landing jobs within weeks, not months or years. So the 12 months is basically get you going really fast, help you find jobs, and earning what you want per month kind of deal. And then the rest of the time for the mentoring program is just so you have access to where we can tweak, we can strategize, we can mastermind, we can help you scale up to where you want to be and beyond. So that's why it's 12 months, but it doesn't take that long to actually see results. So part 1, so that was a caveat that I have to add in there just so you're familiar before I talk about the 6 things. So these 6 parts are basically the first 6 weeks kind of deal. That's a good way you can kind of think about it. So first 6 weeks, here's what we're going to be focusing on. Part 1, actionable mindsets and daily routines. So I talked a lot about that earlier, is you have to first believe that it's possible for you and that it will be a reality, and then take actionable steps to do it. So I will show you actionable steps that you need to take that will actually make this a reality for you in a very short period of time. Part 2, we'll talk about your income infrastructure, all about what you want to earn, what you need to earn, and then beyond. You might say, well, I just want $5,000 a month. That gives me a surplus. I'm satisfied with that. But to think bigger, what else could you achieve? Not necessarily financial, but other areas of your life, So we'll talk about that. How to create your profiles, how to write proposals that land you these high-paying jobs, how to apply to jobs, how to understand the psychology of the client-writer relationship that I talked about earlier, is how to psychoanalyze client reviews, client job descriptions, and do it while you're interacting with them. How to approach and talk with prospects. Now, I remember I said earlier, you don't have to be an extrovert. Sometimes you might have to talk to someone on the phone, but it's very rare. Most of the time, if you use Upwork, for example, it's just through messaging. Everyone's used to texting or emailing. That's all it is. So you don't have to go out of your comfort zone. Teach you how to negotiate rates, and I'll do all those things. Part 3, how to actually land high-paying jobs. So I showed you examples of jobs that had lower bids, pretty good bids, and that all of them paid me more than what their budget was. I'll teach you how to do that, how to lock down high-paying clients who are happy to pay you what you're worth. Remember, what you're worth is not who you are as a person, it's what you want to achieve. That is your worth. So if it's $10,000 a month like it was for me, that's your worth. How do you actually get clients who are going to pay you that and more and be happy that they did it? They're happy to do it and they want to work with you again to do it again. You know, that's a weird psychology. It doesn't make sense, but it's a psychological thing. I can work with you with that. How to do interviews and phone calls. Again, you know, this doesn't happen often, but sometimes it does. And I'll teach you how to handle those and not be intimidated or timid or worried or whatever, you know. And then another big thing for ghostwriting, contracts, non-disclosure agreements, what those are, what they entail, the must-haves and the things that you can do without, basically just how to understand things like that, and then how to handle rates and quotes and stuff like that, turnaround times whenever you give estimates to people. Part 4, repeat business manifesto. How do you leverage these new clients or clients that you're getting to get more lucrative jobs? So for me, how did I use clients that were paying me to get people that were paying me more? How to get repeat clients? Like I said earlier, I get about 50% of my clientele through referrals now. How does that happen? We talked you through that. Part 5, my tagline I love, earn more, work less. All about scaling up. So you're scaling down the quantity that you're doing per month in terms of workload, and then replacing it with higher paying jobs with actually less work. So here's a good practical example. Fiction book, 80,000 words. Nonfiction book, 40,000 words. Already the word count's cut in half. Nonfiction book, you can get paid significantly more than the fiction book on an average. And so already you're doing less work, getting paid more. So that's a really practical way of what I mean by scaling down workload and getting paid more. But you can even do it with fiction writing. I do it too. So that's part of what I mean by that. It's all about working smarter, you know, so developing scene outlines, outsourcing some time-consuming tasks, how to use dictation to speed up your writing, just things of that nature, just to kind of, it's mindset and actual practical things to help you increase your output if you want to, and be more efficient with your time. And then lastly, part 6. Now, again, I'm going to remind you, all these things are happening within the first few weeks, not months, not the full year. First few weeks, we're going to get all these things developed because we're getting your foundation developed so we can get you jobs fast. All right. So part 6 is all about scaling and growth, how to think bigger. So your goal right now might be, I want to earn this per month. Well, let's think bigger. How can we go farther beyond that? How can we get more freedom and choice in your life? What does that look like? How do we get there? So part of this is to adding services such as editing, formatting, publishing, cover design, things of that nature, like I mentioned earlier. What are other things that you could offer to give more value? And that's how allows you to scale up. So you're doing less, sort of, and then getting paid more. So coaching other writers, trying out new genres and subgenres. We're going to talk about all those kind of things just so you can start thinking differently so you can see what's possible. So recap, step-by-step instruction, mentoring, coaching. So it's group and individual. So I do group coaching, and then after you do the weekly actionable steps, and after you've implemented those, then we do one-on-one coaching. So we'll set up a call after you do those things, and that kind of help strategize and take you a step further. And if you have questions along the way, we answer this. So it's a combination between group and individual coaching. Monthly live training videos, like I said, viable results that I'm guaranteeing you with this program. It's designed to have you working on a new project by month 2. So again, I said it's setting up the foundation quick, getting you jobs fast. So by month 2, you're going to at least have your first job. By the end of month 4, you will have earned back your investment plus 25%. And then by month 6, if you continue to do the actionable steps that I'm teaching you and things of that nature, you will be on your way to scaling to 6 figures by the end of the year. So Each step of this process is designed to get you moving forward at lightning speed so that you can directly apply what I'm teaching you and showing you to earn money right away. It's not waiting. It's not like, hey, I need to finish this course and then I can execute this. No, you're executing things as we're learning and scaling you up so you can, because I believe that people learn best by actually doing what they want to do. So that's how I did it too. And so it's all about getting you jobs fast, scaling up from there and getting better. So think real jobs. I can't emphasize that enough. You're actually going to get real jobs to do this stuff. It's not just, I'm going to write a sample and just for practice for writing. No, you're actually going to write that sample and use it to get a job and then write a book for someone and get better. It's hands-on experience. All of the training is group coaching, like I said, but I didn't want to leave anyone behind. That's why I am going to be helping you individually during each part of those processes. So those part sixes, all those 6 parts. That's why, in addition to the group coaching, after you do the actionable weekly items, I then schedule a call with you to do individual coaching with you to help you scale and get over hurdles or strategize or whatever is going on right in your life that time. And so when you submit these actionable items, like I said, I'll schedule a call. We'll do individual coaching. What that means is I'm going to personally help you optimize your profile, write proposals, negotiate proposals and quotes and rates. So I'll teach you negotiation strategies, find clients, get those clients, and basically anything that you need or that arises within that 12 months that you need help with, I'm at your disposal. So this is going to save you a ton of time, stress by following a proven method that has already earned me 6 figures and continues to grow. And I've already taught some of this stuff to other people and they landed their first jobs in weeks. So here's an example of this. This happened last week. Someone wanted to join this course and they submitted an application. They were approved. And by the way, this is only application. So he submitted an application. I submitted an approval. I got him. So he submitted an application on Monday. I had him a job with a client in 2 days by Wednesday. That happened to 2 people already. 2 people within days. So that's why I'm saying it's all about moving fast. It's not about waiting around weeks or months or a year. You're getting stuff right off the bat. So that's 2 people, 2 examples of people that took action to manifest their new reality that they wanted to and got jobs within the first 3 days. There's a money back guarantee. All right. And this is because I know this works. And sometimes people just need a little bit of a push to be able to do the right thing. So I offer a money back guarantee. What that looks like is the guarantee is this. I give you 3 guarantees. You'll land your first job by the end of month 2. You'll earn and be in contract to earn your investment plus 25% by the end of month 4. You'll also be en route to earning 6 figures by the end of month 6 if you continue to do what I'm teaching you. Those are the 3 guarantees. If all 3 of those are not met, and you've completed all of the actionable items that I've taught you, and you follow the process the entire time, I will refund your investment and give it an additional $1,000. That's because I know that if you do what I teach you and I'm helping you along the way, you will succeed. And if for whatever reason you didn't, you're going to at least be getting $1,000 back. But I don't foresee that happening because it works. And so we're going to get you there. There's also a bonus guarantee. So those are money back guarantees. I love to give people extra motivation to do something, to do the right thing. And so why not? It's just all about being generous. So here's a super bonus. Not only will you start landing jobs and earning your investment back rapidly by following the action steps in the process that I lay out before you, but once you're inside the program, I will give you clients. So as you can imagine, I showed you some examples that were invite onlys. I get invitations weekly from people that either I'm not the right fit for or I'm just too busy. I have too much work, so I can't take them on. And so I will give you these clients. I've already negotiated things with several clients and they're waiting for you. I'm going to hand these off to you. These are top level, high paying clients who are more than willing to pay you what you want, what you're worth. And I'm just going to hand them off to you. They're already waiting for you, which means that you can start earning top level ghostwriting income within weeks. So I gave you 2 examples of 2 people. Those were within 2 days that they got their first jobs that are paying well. Okay. And then if that first job goes well for both of those clients, for both of those people, then that client is going to give them a series of books. So they got a trial book at a good price within 2 days. If that goes well, which I imagine it's going to, because I'm going to teach them how to make it go well, then they're going to get a book series, which means at a higher rate, because that was part of the negotiation that I did on their behalf, a higher rate. So already they're guaranteed more work if they do the first one well, which they're going to, and they get paid more. That's what I mean by they're waiting for you. I'm just going to hand them off to you. Some of these clients have already paid $2,000 or $4,000 or more. Like, that's the minimum that I'm saying whenever I talk to these people. They've already paid that and more. They're ready. So does this sound like a program or a mentoring program that you would like to join? If so, go ahead and say yes or heck yes or whatever you want to say in the chat channel. Let me know how excited you are for, hey, I would really love to do something like that. What does it look like? How do I get involved with it? So yeah, a lot of people are saying, oh, are you kidding me? Without verbatim saying what people is like, oh, heck yes, oh, hell yeah, yeah, I'll do that, yes. Basically, if someone told me the same thing, I'd be like, yes, let me do it. So this program, as a reminder, is designed to have you at the top of your game, earning what you're worth, and scaling to 6 figures within weeks, not years. There's only one catch. And you might be thinking, oh, I knew it. I knew it was too good to be true. There's always a catch. What is it this time, Matthew? It's actually not what you're thinking. You cannot buy this program. Even if you said, Matthew, I want this, I want in, I will pay you $15,000, I will pay you $50,000. I won't lie, I'd be tempted, but I'd still say no, because you cannot buy into the program. I don't care how much you're willing to pay. You can't buy into the program. You must apply. And again, like I said earlier, there's nothing to buy in this program. That's why you can't buy into it. So there's nothing that you can buy. I can't, so you don't have to worry about it. You have to apply. This program is by application only. We will only be taking a small group of motivated writers to start with in the program so that we can ensure that they all get optimal results. So for example, I accepted 2 people last week and they've already gotten jobs in the first 3 days. They're already ready to go. That's how quickly we move. But you have to, here's the thing is part of the training is, yes, I'm going to teach you step-by-step what to do and help you along the way, but there is work involved. It's not just, hey, take this pill and it's a magic bullet or something like that. No, there is work involved, which is why we're limiting it. We're being selective. So like earlier when I said be selective with who you approach with your clientele, same thing with every aspect of your life. Be selective. My goal is to help people scale to 6 figures. So I am being selective with who I take on to ensure and guarantee that they get there. All right. So due to the intensive nature of this program, we will be declining even great writers. So it's not even about whether you can write well or you're a terrible writer, whatever it is, or experience. It's not even about that. There's other factors that play into it more than the writing. So we're going to decline even great writers. So don't even worry about that. Don't worry about it affecting you. I encourage everybody to apply, because here's the bottom line is that if this program can guarantee that you're going to get work within weeks and you're going to scale up to 6 figures by the end of the year, or you're going to get paid your investment back and $1,000 by month 4. So you don't have to wait the full 12 months. By month 4, you're either going to have plus 25% above your investment and beyond and scale into 6 figures, or you're at least going to make $1,000. Any financial advisor will be like, that's a no-brainer investment kind of deal. But it's even more than that. So basically, I want everyone to apply, because why would you not apply? So you can see if you would be accepted. But if you're not accepted, don't worry about it. Use what I've shared in this webinar to further your career in the meantime. You can already apply a lot of the things that I taught and shared in this webinar to kickstart your career right now. Like, you don't even have to worry about it. You can start right now. It's just the mentoring program helps you go faster. I help you get clients. I give clients to you, things of that nature. You're basically guaranteed to succeed, and you're not doing it on your own. You're not like, well, is this the right thing to do? No, I will tell you what the right thing to do is. So real briefly, for those who are accepted into the program that receive an invitation to join, you'll be joining a program that promises your success. And I don't say that lightly. When you follow the process and the steps that I provide for you, if you implement every action item and follow the plan that I lay out for you and help you with, you will succeed. There is no failure. You're going to succeed no matter what. And with the money back guarantees that I gave you and the extra bonuses to help you give that push just to get you to step in the right direction, to do the right thing, there's no risk. There is zero risk. So how much is the training? How much is the training program? You might be asking. Well, let me do a recap. The top 6 things that we're going to be setting up in the first few weeks to get you the foundation going so that you can actually scale up to 6 figures rapidly. Part 1, mindset and rituals. Part 2, your income infrastructure. Part 3, landing high-paying jobs. Part 4, repeat business manifesto. So basically getting repeat clients. Part 5, earn more, work less. So how to scale down your quantity and workload, but still get paid more. And then part 6, all about scaling and growing, how to think bigger. And then there's the success guarantee. So either you're going to succeed or you're getting your investment back plus an extra $1,000. That's the guarantee. So either way, you're winning, but that's not going to happen. We're going to get you well more than that because the guarantee is you're going to scale up to 6 figures, which 100K is significantly more than $1,000. You're going to land your first job within the first 2 months. You're going to be in contract to earn back your investment plus 25% by month 4. And then by month 6, by continuing to do what I'm teaching you, you'll be on track to scaling to 6 figures by the end of the year. And I will give you clients. So my video of me, because I wanted you to be able to see me, is kind of overlooking it. But I will give you clients. And I think there's 1 or 2 exclamation points to really emphasize I'm going to be helping you get there. I already have clients waiting to help you. So it's $5,000 to get into the program, but you can't pay that to get in. You have to be accepted into it. So it's application only. That's guaranteed to be earned back plus 25% and have you set up with monthly earnings that will change your life and give you freedom that you've been looking for. Basically, for me, I wanted freedom of choice. I wanted to be able to say work in a bedroom like this from home, or I want to be able to work from a park, or I want to work from an airport, or I want to travel somewhere with my family spontaneously without having to worry about it. I don't want to have to worry about money and where it's going to come from, or if I can pay my bills or whatever. That's what I'm talking about. It gives you freedom for all those things and whatever you can think of. So here's a recap. So if you are interested in seeing if you qualify for the program, go to that site on the top, www.sixfigureghostwriter.com/apply. I will note, though, I will give you a heads up that the application is not short. I mean, it's not going to take a lot of your time, but the questions are strategically asked and placed to get you thinking about, do I really want to do this? Can I do this? And then on top of that, it then allows me to learn more about your personality, what your goals are, so that I can help you reach them and surpass them. So I'm going to let you know ahead of time that this is only for serious people. I encourage everyone to apply because bottom line is, what do you have to lose? If you apply and you're accepted, that means I think you have what it takes to succeed, which the success that I'm guaranteeing you is 6 figures for the year, scaling up to 6 figures. That's the guarantee, like the big goal over thing. So if you get accepted, that's because I think you can get there and I'm going to help you get there. So it's like, why would you not apply? There's nothing to lose. You have everything to lose by not taking action. And that's where I was in the beginning. In 2015, I was never taking action. I was living in fear and doubt and in scarcity mindset. I didn't think it could happen to me. And I never took action. The moment I shifted that mindset and I actually took action to manifest my destiny and things of that nature, this stuff happened for me. This application is just the one stepping stone to help you get there quicker. It's not a lot. It doesn't cost you anything. Fill out the application, submit it, and see what happens. If you're accepted, that means, boom, your life's about to radically change in a very short period of time because I'm guaranteeing you that it's going to happen. If someone presented this option to me a few years ago when I first started off, and there was zero risk, there was zero financial investment because we offer special financing for those who actually get accepted. There's special financing, which means you pay 0 interest for 9 to 15 months, depending on what you qualify for. So it literally is 0 upfront to even get in if you're accepted. So, and then on top of the guarantees, so basically you're going to be making minimum your investment, the $5,000 plus 25%. So that's $6,250 minimum by the end of month 4. Well before you even have to pay anything on the financing. Guaranteed. Or you're going to be getting paid that and an extra $1,000. So either way, you're winning. But that's not what we're going for. We don't want people just to do that. We want people to scale to 6 figures. So I all the bonuses that I gave you was to basically just make it like it's a no-brainer to get you to at least take the first step. The first step is filling out an application. And I will remind you, it's for motivated writers, not for everybody, but everyone should apply just to see if you're the right fit. So right now, that's the end of the webinar in terms of all the information. Right now, we're going to open up with a Q&A, and Johnny has been fielding questions that you might have had in the comments throughout this thing, and then you can ask questions now, and I will go ahead and answer all those.
Yeah, Matthew, while the questions are coming in, I want to chime in. First of all, thank you for the great presentation. There's so much I learned from this that I didn't know. So obviously some of the benefits you laid out, I knew were there for ghostwriting, and some of my actually I have one coaching client who she does ghostwriting, freelance writing in addition to her own books. And so I know personally, like working with authors, that that's a great way to generate income while also supporting your own ventures as an author. And it's one thing I kind of picked up from coaching her and from seeing what you shared here is this is a great way to not only earn financial income, earn extra money, but you're also polishing your craft as a writer. And that's so key. I mean, I won't elaborate on this other than to say there's so many times where I've done things for free just for the experience, just to hone my craft. And here you're actually getting income to hone your craft as well. So it's a double win in that regard. And I was surprised. I mean, I hope if you get one, I mean, there's so many things you shared. The one big thing that you enlightened me about, and I hope is inspiring for everyone here watching, is just what's possible. Because if I'm pursuing, and I had done some freelance work in the past, not as much with writing, but with some other things, audio editing, guitar lessons, different things like that. And if I saw someone that they said their budget was $0, I would have been like, oh, I would have just completely ignored it. Yep. And if someone said their budget was $1,500, I would not expect. I mean, now I kind of get it because you shared it, but until you shared those slides, I would not have thought that they would pay close to 15,000 or 10 times their budget. So to just see what's possible, I hope everyone here sees, if you just get that, if you can see that this is a new things are possible for you that you might not have thought were possible, that's amazing. And in terms, yeah, go ahead.
I didn't mean it. Go ahead. You can finish.
Yeah, I mean, that was a couple big things I got from this. And then of course, for those of you who, you can fill out the application, and what you're making accessible here for people with the application, it's a no-brainer if you're serious about becoming a full-time ghostwriter. When I think about, people who will spend $50,000, $100,000 plus to get a college degree. Yeah. And there's no guarantee with that. It takes years. We're talking about a fraction of that to then be landing gigs within a couple months guaranteed, if not within a couple weeks or a couple days. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's just it's a no-brainer for anyone who's serious about wanting to make either a part-time or full-time income from ghostwriting. One thing I would say is, I mean, you certainly showed that it's possible for you, and I believe that it's possible. What would you say to someone who's like, that's great that Matthew did it, but I'm still not sure if I could, really change my mindset, or maybe he has like a different background than I do, and is it really possible for me?
So the number one thing I would say for that is, so one of the people who I actually got a job within the first few days, he is just starting out. He doesn't have any books published. So you might be thinking, well, I haven't published any books. I don't have any repertoire to do anything. Here's the thing is, whenever I'm helping with this, some of these clients I'm referring you to, they're trusting me. Basically, I'm telling them, hey, I've vetted these people. I believe in these people. You can trust that they're going to provide you with work. So they're basically, it's like, you don't have to solely depend on your experience, your past, repertoire, what your accolades. You don't have to have written 10, 20 plus books and doing well. No, because I'm helping you, a lot of times, here's the thing with this in terms of Upwork and stuff like that is the abundant mindset and knowing what the real reality is. And the reality is this, that people are willing to pay you whatever you want as long as you present the value. If the value is there, people will pay you. So for example, you mentioned, it's a great example, education, college. It's a standard thing that most people think, hey, it's just standard. That's just what we do. You finish high school, you go to college, get a degree, and people are paying 40, 50, 100 plus. And if you're going to be like a doctor or a lawyer, 250,000 plus for that stuff, and you're in there for a year. So for a doctor, it could be 10 years or something like that. And that's standard. That's what people think is normal. So because the reason why they're willing to spend that time and that money and get loans to do it and spend all that and be in debt is they think the value is there. Now for a lawyer and a doctor, yes, you need to do the education, but for a lot of people, a 4-year degree isn't even necessary for you to do well. You can get beyond that. That's the new reality. The reality is you technically don't need to do that. But the reason why a lot of people do it is because the perceived value is there. That's the same thing with ghostwriting or any job, any field is if the value is there, if someone, so for example, let's talk about client and you, all right? If they believe that to pay you $15,000 is going to give the value of what they want to achieve, it's going to solve their problem, whatever it is. In this case, writing a book that's going to help them expand their own business, build their credibility and influence, because that's what books do too for nonfiction people. If they believe that the value is there, they'll pay you whatever you ask. As long as they believe the value is what they're paying is worth the value that they're getting, they will pay you anything. And a lot of times they'll pay you more than you're asking. That's the reality. If you focus on that, that's the abundant mindset and being generous and serving others. That's how it happens, because if you exude that, you receive it back. You attract people, like-minded people. So you'll start attracting clients who think that way. And all they got to know is, hey, the world's not going to end if I hire you. If they know that, because that's a hidden fear. There's like 3 hidden fears. One hidden fear that clients have that you have to speak to and override is, if I hire you, can you actually do my job? Yeah, you've done all these jobs for other people. Can you actually do my job? Or is the world going to end if I hire you? That's a hidden fear that people don't realize clients have. And that's why when you give free advice, free tips, and you give value, it wipes that out. And then they're willing to pay you whatever you ask. And so to answer your question even more succinctly is that I've already helped someone land their first job and possibly a repeat client after this first book, and they don't have multiple books published. They're just starting out. But because they have the work ethic, they have the goals, they have the ability, as long as you are solving a problem for them and giving them value.
Perfect. And you bring up something else, or you emphasize something that's really important there, which is this is a way to build your reputation in a sense that they're leveraging your referral in a sense. So if you're telling someone, hey, you're sending, someone goes into your program, they're part of your mastermind and training, mentorship, then what happens is it's not like they have to start completely from scratch. They have your word of mouth referrals that can help get them started. And that's so big. I mean, going back to the college example, one of the reasons I actually decided to go to college for music was I said, I could probably learn some of this stuff on my own. It's the relationships I'm going to form there. Yep. It's the connections that I'm going to make where someone can refer me to someone else because I've established that relationship. That to me is so valuable. And in business, I can say that most of my businesses come from relationships, recommendations, referrals, a lot of things like that. So that alone gives you a huge a sense of leverage. Whereas, yeah, you can go out and figure this out on your own. It might take a lot longer. You might have to do a lot more to establish yourself, or you can go with a much quicker path to cash potentially, which is learn from someone who's figured it all out, get those recommendations coming in, have someone that's actually helping you land these initial gigs, which then establishes your reputation right off the bat from it. So that's amazing. Thank you.
It's basically you get the first job and you finish it, and then you've already proven yourself by yourself. And at that point, you're free sailing. I'm just there to kind of help push you further along kind of deal. So that's all valid points. Very good. So we're going to start taking some questions. And I saw one question from John, and I'm going to bring it up because it's a very legitimate question. He said, if he is so successful, why does he need to do this? And there's the reason why this is such a good question, because it paints what I talked about this entire webinar: a scarcity mindset and an abundant mindset. That question is a scarcity mindset. It's a legitimate question to have. I had it all the time before I got to where I am. And still I sometimes have it, because we're just taught and conditioned to think, what's the catch? We're conditioned to think, this is too good to be true. We're conditioned to think that way, and that's the majority of us think that way. And then the majority of us never get anywhere in life because we think that way. And the people who don't think that way are the 0.001% who own basically 98% of the wealth in the world. They don't think that way because they understand it's not the reality. So it's a great question, and I'm going to answer it because a lot of us think that way. But once we get past that thinking that way, everything opens up. So I don't need to do this program. I absolutely do not need it. I showed you those examples I showed you in what I got paid. If you look at my Upwork profile, they are some of the recent stuff that I've done. So it's not like, hey, this was years ago and I don't need to do this program because I need to earn income. No, I'm not doing it because I need to earn income. I'm doing it because I understand the principle of being generous, abundant, surplus. We are blessed to be a blessing to other people. I firmly believe that. I had people who invested into my life that I don't even know about. So for example, someone randomly at the grocery store smiling at you, they just invested into your life by showing you something positive, or mentors and coaches. I've had a lot of mentors over the years, and I have mentors now for different things. I have a financial mentor. I have a counselor who's a mentor for me for my spirituality side of things. I have a mentor for business type of things. Johnny is a mentor for me right now for some business things of that nature, just to expand. I understand the value of having mentors and training and people putting into my life. And I want to do that for other people. If you have that, if you think that way, then there is no shortage. There is no, hey, I'm going to take advantage of this person to get ahead. No, because if that's how you're thinking, you may get ahead briefly, but you're going to fail and crash and burn ultimately because you're still living in a scarcity mindset. So that's a fantastic question, John, because it's a struggle for a lot of people to overcome that thought process. But I don't need to do it. And if no one applied and no one got into the program, I'd still continue to do fine. The only issue would be is that less people would be doing better. So by me teaching you, part of one of the slides was part of the scaling up and growth for part 6 is I'm investing into your life so that you can then invest into someone else's life. Then they can invest into someone else's life. That way, everybody can reap the harvest of a better life. It's basically paying it forward. Okay, so is it? I think it's Nevin or maybe Nevin. You asked, what are the payment options if you get accepted? Okay, so we partnered with a business financing partner who basically you pay $1 to find out what your credit score is. It's not based off of what your income is and debt to income ratio, and it's not based off anything like that. It's based off your credit score. So you pay $1 just to get your credit score so you can upload it to them so they can tell you what you're approved for. You may, for example, get approved for $40,000 because it's a business loan. These are different than personal loans and credit cards. So if you're trying to get a personal loan or a personal credit card, they might look at your debt to income ratio or what your income was last year, things of that nature, and you may not get approved for certain things. This is different. For business loans, there's a different flexibility and ability because they understand that for small businesses, you might not have a lot of income to start off with. So they give you that income up front to help you get started because they understand that once you get started, you'll earn more back. So that's why we partner with someone that gives business loans, because it have the flexibility, because this is a business. We're teaching you how to scale up your business to 6 figures as a ghostwriter/writer. So for them is you pay $1 to get your credit score, you upload the credit score to them. Then based off of that, they can tell you what you're approved for. So maybe you're approved for $10,000. Maybe you're approved for $50,000. If you're approved for more than what you need for the investment for this, so which is $5,000, I would encourage you to actually agree to it. So if you got approved for, say, $30,000 for a business loan, I would encourage you to consider actually accepting that. Not that you need to use it right off the bat. It's just in terms of business, it's easier if you have resources already currently available at your disposal for anything that comes in the future. So you'll use that then for any business expenses that come about. And as I'm teaching you to scale to 6 figures, you'll start expanding. You might get so big and grow so rapidly that you have to hire on people to help you. You might have to hire on an admin. So that's going to infer some costs or something like that. Or you can use it without touching your personal resources. And that's why I would say I would encourage you, take more. You don't need to, but take it so you have it available, and then don't use it unless you need it down the road. It's just like basically for business resources. So that's the financing that we have available.
Yeah, quick point on that, Matthew, is one of the things that I've learned, and I'll make the disclaimer that, you know, I'm not here to offer financial advice, just share what I learned and did myself, is that, you know, there's not so good debt, and then there is good debt. So the not so good debt, you know, not wise way of using debt. It's like, oh, I'm just going to buy a big screen TV that I can't afford. Good debt from wealthy, successful people, you know, who teach about finances and what, you know, wealthy people do, is it's when it's used for an investment, when it's used for business, when it's used for something that's going to get you a return. That's actually what, you know, savvy entrepreneurs and business people do, is they actually want to use that good debt because they know it's going to get a return. They know the return is going to be greater than the interest. And it gives them that extra capital and leverage so that they can do a lot of things that they wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. And again, this is not financial advice, just what I do with my accountant in the United States, is that it's, you know, for me, it's a tax write-off to get these, you know, education and things like that as a business expense. So another thing to consider, maybe it's either giving it to the government or investing in yourself. You know, can make the choice about which one you'd rather do there.
Yeah, absolutely valid. Great point. Is like, there's the phrase of, you have to give money to make money. And this is kind of fits into that, is business people who are giving business loans understand the principle of, they're investing into you, you're investing into yourself in your business, things of that nature. And then what you touched on in terms of taxes is, anything that you do for your business is a tax write-off. You can count it as a business expense, which means, for example, let's say you earned 100K. So let's say you applied to this program, you got accepted, you get started, we scaled you up in the next 6 to 12 months to 6 figures. So you say, let's pretend you made $150,000. All right. And your business expenses were $50,000. All right. Or let's just say you made 100K and your business expenses were $50,000. All right. Well, the government's not going to tax you for the 100K. They're only going to tax you for the $50,000, because your business expenses subtract from your overall. And so you're actually saving more in taxes. So in essence, like you're saying, it's an investment. It's a different kind of debt if you were to use all of it. If you're not using it, it's not debt at all. You know, but if you used it, it's a different kind of debt, because you're investing it with expecting returns. And that's why they're willing to give you more, even if you don't have the resources available currently, because they understand it's an investment. So what other questions we got? So what were some questions, Johnny, that you found that some people had? And Derek, if you saw some or you have any, feel free to go ahead and ask those as well. Go ahead and scroll through.
There were some people asking about the website that you were using, which was answered. But for anyone who didn't catch it, that was Upwork, correct? Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. So Upwork, one word, is a platform where they connect clients with freelancers, and that's any kind of field. But I'm specifically referring to writing jobs. So there could be copywriting, editing, formatting, publishing, ghostwriting, creative writing, blogs, articles, anything like that. Just writing in general. There are thousands upon thousands of jobs on there every single day. So that's why I say there's millions of jobs, because every single day there's thousands of jobs that get posted. And that's what I used initially to get started. I still use it because it's so effective. It's basically, it's in essence free marketing. So I talked to Johnny about this the other day, or I talked to someone the other day about this, is that Upwork clients are already going on there. They're making job descriptions. They're making jobs, which means they're already saying, hey, we need this. You just have to go through and pick and choose which ones you want and to apply for, to go for it. So it's like, it's even better than Facebook ads or Amazon ads for selling your own books, because for those, you have to find people to get to buy your stuff. For this, Upwork's presenting clients who are already saying, hey, we need help with this. We'll pay someone for this. You just find who you want to work for and submit a proposal. So I use Upwork because it's a huge resource to be able to find jobs. It's very secure. You basically, there's a thing called escrow where if you get a job, clients have to fund the escrow, so you're guaranteed to get paid. Things like that. So it basically protects both sides. So it's a huge, huge resource if you're going to consider doing any kind of freelance work.
All right, fast thing. Can anybody hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
Oh, that's delightful. Oh, there we go. Hello, I'm back. All right. Yeah, well, really quickly on this thing, I wanted, because we had talked about this the last time around, was hold on a second. All right. There we go. Can you hear me now? All right, I got a nod. Sweet. There we go. I'm trying to figure out the technology for a second time here. So one thing we had talked about a little bit ago was the description thing. And I kind of wanted to drive home the point about this is that one thing that you're going to learn in this, and this is fun because I've started doing it a little bit because, I had never really, I've hired tons of people on Upwork myself, but I've never really gone out there, for the marketing consulting business development stuff that I do. And so, while I'm not a ghostwriter, it's exactly the same principles, And I'm going to tell you, this is the most universal truth. If you have any form of communication skills whatsoever, you are going to dominate out there because the people writing these jobs, you said it earlier, but I really want to drive this point home. They don't know what they don't know what they need. They don't know what they want. They have no idea about any of this stuff. And literally the situation they're in is that they're in pain, like emotional frustration, and they need someone to help them. And if you are that person, if you have the skills for that and you can communicate that, which is very simple, you are absolutely going to just shoot to the top. I mean, the reason he was able to go from, 84,000 in debt and within 2 months making that kind of, monthly income and, 4 months to make sure it's stabilized, is because all he did was address the situation that they were asking for. Because you're going to start to see that when people write these proposals, and I'm seeing this right now because I've been doing this for close to 15 years in the business development, working with people to streamline and all that stuff, is that they don't know. And if all you have to do is literally mention to them in your proposal what they actually want, and they'll be like, thank you. And it's amazing. It really, it's blowing my mind. Because I went in there expecting it to be a completely different kind of thing. I've been playing around with this for like 2 days just because I was like, I'm curious. Why not? Because I'm a curious kind of fellow. And I already have, I'm in chats now with 2 people and possibly a third here. It's nuts. It's nuts. Let me see. Upwork seems to be flooded with scammers last time I looked at it. Well, not really. And also you have to kind of redefine what you mean by scammers. That's kind of a word used for, I don't know how to put it nicely, but there's people who are confused. Absolutely. I don't know if there's anyone out there who's, I'm sure there are, but people trying to actually take advantage of you on that platform, maybe.
Yeah. I can talk on that a little bit.
Oh, please do. Absolutely.
So I talked about it briefly earlier in the webinar where I had something like that happen to me, but part of what's going into this training is to teach you the psychology, how to find people who you actually want to work with. There are always going to be people out there who want to take advantage of someone. They want to scam you. They want to take your money. They want to lowball you, whatever the heck it is. There's always people out there that are going to do that. But there are significantly more who actually will pay you what you're asking for and are legitimate. And there's more of that out there than you're aware of. It just happens to be that, like if you look at the media, we focus on negative things. So it seems that that's the reality, but that's actually not the reality. There's significantly more legitimate people out there who have a problem. They may, like Johnny was talking about, may not know what they're looking for, so they may come off like they're fickle and flaky, but they just need someone who is an expert to guide them and share them, and they're willing to pay you. Because part of the thing is too is that Upwork is trying to sustain a high quality platform. So if there's anyone in there that's doing this to someone, they get kicked off pretty quickly. They're not playing games. They'll knock someone off, a freelancer or a client off, if you're trying to rig the game and be fishy and you're trying to take advantage of someone like that. They knock you off fast. They have a zero tolerance type of policy. So if you use Upwork, you're already using a platform that's vetting most people. Well, they're vetting everybody, but you're basically guaranteeing that, hey, you have a higher chance of finding legitimate people on there.
Yeah, it's in their best interest. Like, remember this, Upwork makes money because they charge a percentage on both sides of the transaction. And it is in their absolute best interest that everybody plays a clean game. And you know what he's saying is right. I like I said, I've only been messing with this thing for a little while now, but it's like, it's not so much scammers. It's more so people who are just very confused.
Okay.
You know, and they're looking for some leadership.
So Maria, or Marla, it's an L. So Marla, you were talking about that. It just seemed like they're trying to just get your information. So here's the thing: Upwork is very strict about trying to stay on Upwork. If anyone asks you, "Hey, what's your email? What's your phone number? Hey, let's take this work outside of Upwork," then you're supposed to flag them. I mean, there's a lot of people that ask that because that's what they're used to doing anyway. So it's not like everyone that asks you that is trying to scam you. And one way to figure that is just narrow down what they're willing to do, but you keep as much of the correspondence on Upwork, especially initially. You know, if you're initially start working with a client and then later on they ask you, hey, you know, what's your email? Let's try to do this. Let's do a Skype or whatever it is. That's fine. That's totally fine because they've already proven themselves to you and stuff like that. So, you know, it's just being aware of what you're looking for, what you're trying to achieve, and understanding how to engage clients, because how you engage clients, even within your proposal, eliminates any illegitimate people out there. If there's, it's not very many on Upwork because they're very good at taking care of that and getting that out of there. But there's always going to be a handful that slip through before they catch them, you know. And one way to bypass that is by researching the market, researching client reviews for that person, how you write your proposal, things of that nature. Because if they're just trying to scam you, they're not going to look for someone who's really detailed and specific and knows what they're doing, because they're not going to waste their time because they know that they're not going to be able to convince you to do something. It's like those people that say, hey, you know, we'll send you this money, but we need you to get gift cards for us and then mail them to us. You know, they're not going to approach people that aren't going to believe that. So part of the program is teaching you all those things so that you already have the frame of mind to understand how to engage people, how to engage job postings, so you're not even dealing with people like that to begin with.
100%. I mean, you know, one of my favorite clients, I love these, and I'm trying to work with a few of them right now, but evidently my rich grandfather from Nigeria was a king and died and willed me $10 million. I'm applying to everyone that I see. No, but I'm only partly kidding. But one way to get around that, and this is something that I just sort of started doing, was you know, by asking questions in your proposal. That's going to be one of the things, because if they respond and they answer, first of all, they're going to be grateful that you even bothered to pay attention to what they wrote in the first place. You know, as Matthew was talking about, like, you need to customize each one. It takes, like, I mean, it's been so easy, it's ridiculous. But like, you just ask questions to get more clarity, and that right there, before you give them anything, do that, and that's going to kind of really weed out 99% of the issues.
Bottom line is, if they're illegitimate, they're not going to waste time answering your questions. And if they don't want to answer your questions, don't waste your time with them. Move on. Because if you take the time to ask questions, things of that nature in your proposal and then in the correspondence, and they're not answering any of your questions, don't waste your time. Even if they're not a scammer, they're not worth your time, because they're not willing to engage you and give you what you're asking and what you need to help them. So don't even waste your time. So that's one way to kind of bypass that, is I teach you how to kind of ask questions and things of that nature, how to probe within the proposals to get them trying to get you, because they're trying to get you. You're not trying to get them in terms of the job. And if they don't answer, then right there, you're good to go. And a lot of times those people that are just doing that, they won't ever respond to your proposal. They're just trying to find easy targets.
Yeah. So I got a few minutes left, and then I'm gonna need to head out. So first of all, again, thank you for the amazing training. I do see a couple questions, so I think we can get to them here. One was basically about how long this application is going to be open for. And then the other thing would be, do they need to be how-to books, or what other kind of writing can you do?
Okay, so the application is for this webinar. We have 7 days basically to submit your application to be considered for the program for this one. In terms of what kind of books you can write, anything, fiction, nonfiction, anything. If someone can think of it, it could be written. So, and even if you've never written it before, you can still do it. That's the whole point of this is someone's paying you to learn your craft, how to develop it, how to try out different genres. So if you've never written nonfiction and you want to do it because it pays well, there's a lot of people looking for nonfiction. As long as you present value to them and you help them do it, you can learn. For example, if someone says, hey, I'll pay you $10,000 to write this nonfiction book, and you have and let's just pretend it's about teaching dogs how to talk, because I've heard that example, so it's a pretty cool example. Write a book about teaching people how to make a dog talk. You have absolutely no idea about any of that. Well, if you're only going to pay you $10,000, I'm guaranteed you're going to be willing to do some research to learn that. And by learning it, you're able to write it. So you don't have to already know the subject material to write these books. Part of the process is you're actually learning it from these people, because they're the subject matter experts for nonfiction. They're the experts. You're just learning it from them. You're the expert at writing. If it's fiction, same thing, but it's a little different because you have more creative freedom to write something. You just write what you want. If you don't like romance and clients are asking you to write romance, don't do it if you don't like it. If all you write is thrillers or science fiction, focus there. There's tons of jobs there. Don't worry about, hey, I have to do this because it's there. No, just focus on what you want to do, even if you've never done it before, because like I said, someone's paying you to get better at it. Someone's paying you to try it out. You'll never know until you do it, and why not have someone pay you to try it out, then do it on your own.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, with that, I want to thank you, Matthew. Also, thank you, Johnny, for helping host it. So everyone, it's sixfigureghostwriter.com/apply. So go there. We encourage you, go ahead and put in an application. Either way, it'll be enlightening to learn about, the application process if you get accepted. And then, of course, I know many of you are serious about being able to write for a living. You're serious about being able to have freedom to be able to do what you love. And actually, another benefit for those of you who are like, I'm just not a big fan of the marketing side of things. And, maybe you need to kind of learn that over the long haul to improve your book sales. I know for some of you, it's like, if you could really generate a good income just from doing what you love most, which could be writing, which could be the creative work, the artistic creative work, this is the best avenue that I know of for doing it. So this is going to be exactly what you need, and it's going to give you that jump start to help you get those clients right away. Thank you guys so much.
And before you go, everyone, if you submit an application, you'll find out if you were accepted within 24 to 48 hours. All right, so it's not like you're going to have to wait around forever. If you submit an application today, within 2 days, you're going to know if you were accepted or not. And if you're accepted, we're all about moving quickly to get you making money fast. So you're not going to have to wait forever to find out if you're about to have your life radically change.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for coming on, and thank you, Derek, and especially Matthew for all the crazy cool info. And for the question about the replay, we are absolutely going to try, technology willing, then this will happen. But the one thing I can promise you is, if for whatever reason something goes completely sideways and the replay does not work, we'll do this live again for you, because we're that kind of crazy. So it'll absolutely be awesome. So thank you so much for coming out. Thank you everybody for all the great info. Thank you, Derek, for telling everybody about this thing. And thank you all so much for being here and spending your time with us. Have a wonderful day. And if you have any questions whatsoever, any of those emails you got, you can literally hit reply. There are living, breathing human beings who can answer your question. All right. We'll see you guys again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.